Podcast, the best of the underground. Make madness your ritual.
Yo, what's happening? How's it going? It is Friday evening, and we haven't done one of these in a little while, so thank you for joining us. Ritual Madness Podcast. Do me a favor, check out Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, 612-353-4755, or reach out to them at lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. If you're looking to get some tattoo work, just shoot on over to South Minneapolis and catch up with Jason and the folks over at Lowbrow Saints. Again, that's Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective, 612-353-4755, lowbrowsaints@gmail.com. And these guys have been open for a little while, but we got to switch this little card up for them. But the Shred Den, now open Monday through Friday, 5 to 8 p.m., Saturday, 11 to 5, 9100 85th Avenue North, Suite 100 in Brooklyn Park. It's actually it's Osseo and Brooklyn Park. It's kind of like right on the border, isn't it?
The border goes right in the middle of the building.
Does it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. The directions are better. That's why you switched it to Brooklyn Park. The directions are easier to get to. So give them a call, 763-350-2191. Or check them out at www.theshredden.net and get yourself. You guys got some new guitars over there today, didn't you? What did you get over there?
Yeah, a bunch of 7-strings, BC Rich Warlock. That's real sweet. It's got like a pearlescent white with a black binding. 7-string Ironbird, black. JRV.
That's the V. That's the one that's got
it's the V. And then a bitch.
Is that actually like something to do with Static X? Because that little inlay sure does look just like
the
it.
Inlay was.
That's fucking amazing. Dan, how's it going, buddy? Welcome to the show.
It's going.
It's been a while, man.
Well.
It's been a while since I've had you in the studio here. We've moved a couple times since the last time we've probably been on the show, I think. It's been a while.
That would be 2 times then.
Yeah,
because the last time that I was on was in Spring Lake Park.
Yep.
And you haven't been there for a long time.
Yep. It's been a while. It's been a fucking while, dude. So Dan here's is fresh off the Rockfest stage with the Gravzig cats. How did that go, dude?
I still got makeup and eyeliner on. It looks like I was getting shit from my lady when I left.
Yeah.
She's like, let me fucking clean you up a little bit better. Let me use some like makeup remover.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck it.
Some witch
like,
hazel.
It's fine. Yeah. The witch hazel's good shit, actually.
That gets the stuff off, right?
Yeah, it does. It's good for the skin too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was wild. It was for a band like that to play, have to play 3 sets.
3 sets. Holy shit.
Yeah.
How did that work out?
We didn't die.
Right.
I mean, when we got contacted about it, it was kind of like, huh?
Yeah.
And I get that, like, Rockfest is kind of eclectic, I guess, and like, there's been some heavier bands. There's always, I guess, probably heavier bands.
Yeah.
The last couple of years, there's been a couple here and there, but like
Anthrax, Slayer. I mean,
yeah, there's always some, but it's
yeah.
predominantly more radio rock and like stuff, not like heavy stuff or like punk rock. And the idea of having like a tribute band do 3 sets. I mean, that's.
Do they have like a tribute stage just
yeah?
For that
So
stuff?
what we played is the Jack Daniels tribute stage, which is like right next to the main stage.
Yeah. To the right of it or something.
So it would be like if you're facing the stage, it's to the left.
Oh, okay.
So stage right, whatever, however you want to think about it. But yeah, if you're someone that's going to the fest and you're wondering about where the tribute bands are, it's looking at the main stage and to the left of it, and you'll see the Jack Daniels tribute stage.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it was an experience. It was so much fun.
Yeah,
it was so much fun, but it's the idea of playing music that is derivative on just being like fuck it energy kind of thing. Not like
have a good time.
We're gonna play perfectly. There's an element because it's so energy driven.
Sure.
So putting that aside, where it's like, oh my god, we have to do a 30-minute set and then 2 45-minute sets.
Ooh.
It's you gotta switch gears. It's weird.
Right.
It's definitely weird.
So now, so just to back up, and it's been a long time since you've been on the show and everything like that. So
yeah.
The Gravzig stuff is a tribute band to the Misfits, correct?
Correct.
And that is the Graves era of Misfits?
It's both.
Okay.
So it's the whole thing. Yeah. So we do both. It's pretty much 50-50 as far as the Danzig and the Graves stuff.
Sure.
Yep.
Now, how do you feel? Now, you're the front man of this particular gig. Now,
something like that.
How is it to come from behind the drums and be up front and?
I mean, I obviously enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
I really am a guy that I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
It's weird. And I think even because it was probably like 7 years ago, because I think the last time we did a podcast was right around the first year when Steven was with us.
Yep.
It had to have been right around that time. And that was around when we started kind of here and there doing the Gravzig thing.
Sure.
Because it was just a big, like, for fun joke thing.
Yep. You were just doing select shows too, right?
It was just, because, like, all of us that are involved are all in other bands. So, like, everyone only has so much time.
Sure.
So, but I'm a very energetic person.
Right.
I love playing live. That's why I still play music. So being able to not have to be constrained to sitting and just being confined to a space, I think that it happens with a lot of drummers.
Right.
Even though I am, if anyone ever asks me, I'm not a singer.
Right.
I'm not a singer. It's just something that happened. It's rock and roll. It's punk rock.
Yeah.
You can be a bigger jackass, and it's supposed to be raw.
You got to be able to.
It's
to
not
hold,
meant to be perfect,
right.
and especially me not being a singer, I've accepted that, and it's just people have fun, and that's just what it is. So yeah.
Well, and some changes to the Reaping lineup as well. You got the bass player back, right? He was gone for a while.
Jacob, yes, Jacob. So Jacob was with us for a very long time in the starting, up until about 9 years ago, and he moved to Colorado. He wanted to give a life shift with a lot of his.
Right.
He had like personal and like, what you're gonna do for your big boy money,
right?
Because death metal doesn't usually pay the bills, as you know.
Right.
So he did that. He moved to Denver. He's been a very close friend of ours the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And about a year and a half ago, it came back into the picture where it's like, we originally, our last record, Dark and Infinity, some people, it's funny that, with technology now, you can't even really tell, but we actually did MIDI bass on Dark and Infinity.
Oh, wow.
We didn't plan to. We're lucky that we're able to, and it actually does sound really well because we played without a bass player for several years. But Jacob was supposed to, the way it started was that he was supposed to record the bass tracks on that record, and he plays soccer pretty aggressively. And about 2 months before we were going to track, I think he broke his wrist.
Ooh.
He broke or like sprained it really bad.
Damn.
So then it was like, okay, we're gonna have to shift gears, and I guess we're gonna do MIDI bass. So, and that's where it started. He does coding work, and he has the ability to work from wherever.
Right.
So he does well, and for people that do that, that's like for a musician.
Shit,
like, well,
Shit, yeah.
So yeah, it's one of the most talented people. Like, I am so lucky to have all the people that I play with or have played with that are so talented, and a lot of really close friends of mine. Like every time that I've gone through Denver and any of the bands that I've played with in the last 8, 9, 10 years, like I see him every time.
Right.
So it just,
he's joined you a couple times before he came back, right? He joined you on stage and played?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. So he was doing his own thing in Denver. He just was a close friend. And then about a year and a half now that he's been back with us, like touring. He did like everything that we did, except for like our one local show in August of last year. So all the touring, like the Born of Osiris tour and like the Cryptopsy, that Carnival of Death tour, he was with us. And
nice.
All the writing that we've been doing.
How did you hook up doing that stuff, doing the Cryptopsy stuff? Through the label?
Dumb luck.
Things like that?
No, like, so their agent, Stefan, was our agent for quite a while, and we moved over to another agent on Continental, Michelle, which is a longtime friend of mine. She runs a venue in New Jersey called Dingbats. We ended up kind of switching. I think for us, we are, even as long as we've been a band, there's still an element of the grind. I mean, I think that's I don't think that's death metal. I think that's just music in general.
Right,
it's like you either have that initial snap that takes you to wherever, or you have to grind it out continuously for years and years and years. And there's so many amazing bands now that they have a lot of notoriety, but it's like a lot of people that are in those bands don't understand that they were like a band for 10 to 18 years before they actually got any kind of notoriety. So, so the Cryptopsy tour, it was, we were still like Stefan. I saw him like a couple months ago. It came on his radar because Cryptopsy is one of his bands. He's like, like I really would like to get Reaping on here. So like that's how that worked out. Yeah, like it's awesome.
Badass.
Cryptopsy, those guys are awesome. They're still killing it. I saw one of the nights of that Death to All tour, and they were on that, and that was awesome. That was a really good tour.
Eric, I'm not going to call him that. You can call him that. He's doing an interview with me. I don't want him to be pissed off at me.
Does he call me a Nance?
Yep.
Does he call me a Nance?
Yep. He did. He said he really likes that.
Ooh, you like the way I smell, boy.
That's awesome. So, I mean, are you okay talking about Eric join the band? Or
we can talk about whatever.
Okay,
we can talk about whatever.
How did that come to be? I know you guys have been friends for a long time and have done some work together in what Climactic.
Climactic, right? Yeah. So, I guess I don't know how far back you want to take it.
As far as you want to go
like
back.
Reaping's at a really, really interesting and very youthful stage, I guess. It's back to like this really like weird spot where all of us, like I've known Eric. I met Eric, probably right around the same time. Like I maybe met you, like in Section 8. Very, and like you didn't really know me or anything at that time, but I met Eric when I first started playing music. So we've been friends and everything for about 23 years.
Yeah.
So he always had his own thing. He had plenty of bands. Anyone that knows him, he's been in tons of amazing death metal bands. And I helped out Climactic. We never really were in another band until I helped out Climactic, like 8-9 years ago.
Yep.
And I helped him out for a chunk of time, and we recorded a record that's still not finished, but we put out a track from it last year finally. So fast forward years and years and years later,
we're going to be playing that track too, by the way.
Oh, sick. Yeah. And that album, it's going to get finished this year. We finally are at we have like two more songs to track vocally finally.
Yeah.
Life happened with Climactic and everyone involved, and
everybody kind of went different ways, right? I mean, Kyle moved out of state and had a kid, and
so he some people in the group had to do the hard right, and they had to step away from music, or everyone had other music going on, and so it sucks. It happens with bands, but. And that Climactic record is really, really good.
I bet it is.
It's really good. So it's almost done. I think if everything with the Reaping situation wouldn't have came up, that record would have been done probably like 5, 6, 7 months ago.
Wow.
So, because we finally, like about a year and a half ago, we're like really trying to finish it up as we were doing other things. Because Eric got back more into music. He joined Glutton. And I have like multiple projects and stuff, but so not trying to get too off a topic, but Eric has been one of my really close friends for a very, very long time. He's known Alex, like they were in a band together for a while. He's known Jacob like the whole way and everything. So when everything came up with Reaping, like taking a shift in gear with like what we were doing and who we were going to be doing it with.
Sure.
I'm very confident that anyone that's seen us in the last couple months has been like, this is, and it's not discrediting, like we've, the handful of other members that have been in Reaping, we've played with like everyone. They're really great musicians. They have all their positive attributes. And I think bands are just really weird because, especially when it comes to metal.
Yeah.
If you're going to keep grinding it like bands like us want to, where we want to keep playing shows, we want to keep touring, we want to do these things. It's a lot of work. If you don't have that groundwork of like, hey, we're mostly friends.
Right.
Because most, like that's like me and Eric were talking about that about like a month ago. It's like you get older and you realize that, oh, wow, bands are usually like, we're cool. It's like if they work, it's not like, because when we're younger, you start bands and it's like typically with people that were your homies,
right?
And people like these are my friends,
right?
And then some of them get more serious with music, some of them don't do that,
right?
And it turns into something different where it's like you might be cool with one or two of the guys, tight, like, you might be friends with them, and then the other people are just, you're cool with them, but you're probably not hanging out with them outside of like, your like the band stuff. So like this situation came back to that with like having Jacob back and having Eric. Like, it's really weird because like me and Alex have been in multiple bands for, same
you guys
thing.
have been together for a while, man.
It's weird because like me and Alex have been like so tight with like our music stuff and like really close friends. Yeah, where we still hang out all the time.
Sure,
and we that's a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a lot, especially being on the road and being with each other all the time.
You gotta be able to. Yeah, you got to be able to take each other's like
good and bad.
Yeah, because everyone has that
for sure.
Yeah,
and I suppose as long as you've been doing it too. I mean, you're not unprofessional about what you do. You're like trying to keep this thing rolling and doing what you want to do because you really enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's got to be invigorating to have Eric join and Jacob come back and like all of that stuff. It's probably giving some new life to creativity.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's because we're coming up. We're 14 years into a band. Yeah. And for like whatever you want to call us, death metal, deathcore, technical death metal, whatever it is, the longevity on a band like that is very, very minimal. Like I've said it numerous times, but it's like, if all of us have been in bands, it's like we've lived about 6 to 10 lives of a band at this point, and like, we should have broken up over and over and over again, but
Brad says old married couple. I'm pretty sure that's Brad. That's Stashsphere.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Hey, Brad. Yeah. How's it going, man? Good to see you.
Any of us. It could be any of us. Me and Alex. Like, yeah, definitely. I mean, but I'm very lucky that I have that with Jacob too. Sure. And Eric, and a lot of other people that I play with. Yeah. Like Kyle. Yeah. Jay from Gravzig. Like, I think I'm a lot more fortunate when it comes to music, where I'm really close friends with a lot of the people that I get to play with. Sure. It makes it completely different.
I bet.
Because the respect, like, you respect people on a different level of just like talent. It's like you value your time together, and
for sure.
I think it's just, for me, it's just way different.
Yeah.
It's way more, because like, as you get older, I'm way more about what am I spending my time on? Because like music is like my life's blood. Mm-hmm. And if I'm able to like share that time with people that I actually give a shit about, right, and I'm actually really close with, it's like, well, that's
goes a long way.
Yeah.
So much different than, I always equate like, your friends that you grew up with in your neighborhood, your friends out of convenience because you're right there with each other, and you're on the same school bus, or you have classes together or whatnot. You're not, you think, yeah, we've shared some, growing moments, but then you get to your license and you get, it's like, you meet someone that's in a band and you become good friends with them. Like somebody like Alex, you become really good friends with them, and then you start reaching out to other people, and you're gathering these people that you're not really too sure of, and you're kind of feeling them out like that type of thing. It's just like out of convenience, you slowly grow out of your neighborhood, and then even your suburb to your city or whatever. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you're, way south or way north to do, to get a rehearsal space, or, you know what I mean? Like it seems like it changes through the years. And I totally agree with you. As you get older, you really start trying to figure out what who you're going to spend your time with, how
if
much
you're smart,
if
you're smart.
Yeah.
I don't and I think that's why for me, it's like I'm 42 and I've been touring and traveling since I was 18, 19 years old. Right. Like I didn't, it's wild, like to think that, like I never, I mean, I wasn't consistently like traveling like 6 to 9 months out of the year, but I was always playing and touring. Like, I didn't like ever, I've never hit a section of my life where I dialed back and stepped away from music. Right. So because I'm still doing that, I know that I knew very early on that my time was way more valuable to me. Like my time and like what I cared about was way more valuable than like, I make, you know, $120,000 a year at this job and everything. Right. Like, I knew that I would rather be able to do the things that were meaningful to me than like just be working a job that's like, what's it going to matter if I fucking drop dead at 35? Right. Because I don't know what the fuck. Yeah, I don't know when my clock ends. Right. So I would much rather be happy and at least doing things that like I think make me happy right now. Yeah, yeah. You know, that's... Yeah.
Do you question yourself at times or at all when you're out on the road and you're like, when your alternator goes bad?
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think that with a lot of that stuff, like especially now, I mean, and that's, yeah, if you can't take that kind of shit with the acceptance, like if you're going to travel across the country for 15 to 38 or 40 days at a time, something's going to happen. Yeah. That's not like an if, like some shit's going to happen. Yeah. And if you can't all be okay with that, to accept like money shit's going to come up or like, you know, the uncertainty that, I mean, because that's the thing is traveling like in that manner, it's just, you're throwing caution to the wind.
Sure. The more you go out, the more it's a possibility.
Simple probability. It's going to, and it's not, that's why, you know, like as we've gotten older, all of us have friends that stop doing that. Yeah, yeah. It's not for everyone. It's fucking hard. Oh yeah. Even when you like it, it's like, and I don't have any problem. It's not. I mean, I think that that's the one thing that for a lot of the people that I admire, and they might even be like super close friends of mine, the people that talk about what they do that are still touring and traveling, you know, after like, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, it's like there, you know, a lot of people are open about that. It's like, we're playing metal. Yeah. This isn't, you know, even if you're doing well, it's not glamorous. Right, right. It's not. It's hard. You know, I don't like being away from my family. I'm very like routine oriented. Yeah. I love that. So me, like, it really is strange that I ended up falling into this like desire playing live and wanting to travel and do all that stuff, because I very much am like, I like to do things. I like to, you know, I like to have a schedule. Sure. Being on the road, you can do that, but there's still that element of just like, you know, what's going to happen. Yeah. What, you know,
has it gotten any easier as you've been going out? Have you seen the crowds get bigger? Have you been able to like really reap the rewards?
I mean, yeah, like it's definitely like, you know, the tours we did last year, they were awesome. They were really good. We're very lucky that we still have people that are interested, I guess, in our band. Yeah. And we're in a weird spot with music and technology and everything. So it's just very hard. We were never like I said, it's like, we weren't a band that got like all this, you know, this snap of like tons of help and tons of attention right off the bat. We worked really, really hard along the way. And we were like that band that it's like, you know, as the things kind of shifted in the last 10, 15, 20 years with the music industry, we were ready to tour and to travel and to grind it out. We weren't like a social media band. Right. We've had things here and there, and we've done like cool video content, and we've been able to like document like our travels and this and that. But, you know, I'm not like a social media drummer. Yeah. And I'm not like, you know, Alex and, you know, like everyone in the band. I'm the most social media oriented out of everyone. And even though I post things here and there, like it's not my main drive. And it sucks because I mean, I don't want to say it sucks, but you have to like utilize so many things around social media. Mm-hmm. And it's not just music related, it's like your business in general. Right. So, you know, that's why like a lot of people have podcasts or they're photographers or they're front of house guys. You know, like they're doing all these other things. Like
stay involved in the music.
But I mean, like I said, for us, it's we've told that line where we've known we've needed and should get more involved with social media. I think it's just like having the right components.
Sure.
We didn't like, cause we worked as like, for us, like in Reaping, like for people that don't know, like we toured as a 3-piece for, you know, we didn't have a bass player since like end of 2017, 2018. So we traveled quite a few years and did our last record as a 3-piece.
Right.
And being one person.
Now, let me ask you this. As you streamline something like that, is it easier or is it harder to with one less person? Is it easier, like maybe travel wise, or is it harder music wise to like have that? I mean, I know the tracks are playing while you're doing it. The bass is going while you're doing it, but that. I mean, you guys have always been really fucking live on stage. I mean, you just bring the shit, real hard. But with one element missing at that particular time, did you feel like that was? Could you feel it?
I don't think so. I think, and when people would see us, there, there's always going to be people that's like, well, seeing a band with one less member, whether it's you have 2 guitar players,
sure,
and a drummer and a singer, or a guitar player, or 2 guitar players and a drummer and a singer, and you don't have a bass player or whatever.
Right.
I think there's always going to be people that like something's lacking, but
sure,
we were lucky that we had a lot of praise and people would like compliment us being a 3-piece, that we were able to hold it down.
Right.
But I think that's only because like me, I'm not like the guy that just sits and plays everything perfectly, and I'm a machine. I know that some people like want to tell me that might be contradicting like what I actually do, but I'm not. I'm a live drummer.
Yeah.
And I like, especially over the last several years, I've accepted that I'm a live drummer. I love playing on stage. I love performing. So if you want to play technical metal and you want to put a show on, you're going to screw up here and there. But I think that when we ended up being a 3-piece and deciding we were going to roll like that for a while, all of us had to like consciously be like, okay, well, we're going to have to like give people more to like not feel like they're missing something from
sure,
seeing us.
Right.
Because it is weird. And there's bands, I mean, dude, Dying Fetus.
Stupid.
Crush. They absolutely crush as a 3-piece. Yep. And I've seen them in every iteration, 5-piece, 4-piece, 3-piece.
Oh yeah.
I saw Misery Index. They did that for 1, maybe 2 tours as a 3-piece.
Those dudes are mean.
Oh yeah. Oh. I mean, there's not a lot of like, some bands can pull it off and some can't. Yeah, I didn't feel like things were lacking. If Jacob could have been around at that time, I would have been like, absolutely. But
that dude's a freak. That dude's a mad freak.
Yeah.
He's just so fucking, both of them, both him and Alex are ridiculous.
Yeah. So, I mean, if the option would have been there to have somebody that would have worked, the door was open for that. And
sure,
we tried people out. And we did that for a while.
Just not jive? Just didn't find the right person?
No, I mean, it's just when it gets down to it, it's like, okay, you have to worry about, is this person going to be able to pull their weight? Are they not going to be a complete fuck up? Like, we're partiers. I like to drink like when the time is right, and like, but I mean, like, there's just, you get older and you realize that there's a difference between like partying is very different than like problems,
right,
and habits. That's
now let me ask you that. I mean, it sounds like you've been super fucking fortunate when it comes to that type of stuff. But has there ever been a situation where you've actually had to sit someone down and go, "Hey, man, the last few nights that we've been out here, shit has been fucked up"? Like, have you had to do that with anyone? Or?
I mean,
or are you guys able to dial it back a little bit?
Kind of yes and kind of no. I mean, not with anyone that's in the band.
Right. Right.
We don't like I don't drink before I touch my drum set.
Right.
I don't. I honestly, I didn't. I went until I was probably like 33 before I literally even had a shot of whiskey by myself. Like, or, you know, like getting behind a drum set. Like I filled in for a rockabilly, psychobilly band, Dead Bundy and the Neat Neat Neats. I did session stuff with them for about a year. And it was like, I got to play 20 songs with a band that I've never rehearsed with, you know.
Right.
Then I'm really good friends with like Matt and Elmer that, you know, was in that band.
Sure.
But I mean, that's completely different. That's not blistering, you know, it's not blast beats and double bass and stuff. That's like
having fun.
I think there's an element for, you know, like some people and some instruments you can have like those couple drinks or whatever you need to do. But
it's different, like with what you're playing too. So, I mean,
drumming's completely different, and you would know it.
Like playing drums, I don't think I'd be able to drink before a set.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
Absolutely not. Like now, there's been times when I was doing Omega, Frodo and I used to before we played, always just did one shot of Rumplemans, and that was our thing. But that's like I usually won't drink before playing. Now, when I was in Breed, that was a different story, because we were like a whiskey driven band, and it was
more rock and roll.
But it was, you know, it's your basic rock and roll, so it wasn't like.
And that's completely different.
Yeah. You know,
and
so
like I said, drums, like pretty much anyone that's a musician, like if you're especially if you're a multi-instrumental person, you can get away with having those couple shots. Like if you're a good musician or like a decently good musician, you can have those couple drinks and whatever on a stringed instrument. Drumming, you get loose. You get loose, so you're not going to want
anything technical or fast where, you know, they're relying on you for the cues and you know, changes, and especially like when I was in Ghost Hook. Granted, I never got to actually play with them thanks to COVID, but I was in the band for 2 years, and I know that like I wouldn't have been able to drink before that, because like, you know, here's a minute-long song with 8 time changes. I'm literally having to count like while I'm playing. That would just fuck me up.
Yeah.
There's never been a point in my soul that's wanted to get fucked up before playing metal.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, we get done
afterwards, have a good time.
Let's do some shots. I'm a whiskey guy. Absolutely. Like but I've just never been that person. It's never.
Now I know you're a physically fit cat. You've always been physically well put together and physically fit, and always taking care of yourself real good. Like, what do you? How is the difference between being a vocalist, someone jumping around, opposed to being a drummer? Do you feel? I mean, you should probably have great stamina from playing drums but I mean, you're not jumping up and down and fucking going back and forth.
I don't think it cross applies personally.
Yeah,
it's just a different, like. Especially like, I mean, that I had people stopping when we went out and were walking around and stuff. Like it was, I mean, it's flattering because it's like, how the fuck do you do that? Like how, like, because the Gravzig thing, it's just like chaos. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, and it's like, it's just energy, and it's a lot of it. And like I had like
3 sets worth, man. Holy smokes!
Yeah, that's it was weird because it. Like even that third set, it was like, God damn, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was weird, man.
Yeah.
It was very, very strange. Like I've never done that where it's like, cause we had about 45 to 60 minutes in between each set. And it was like, I have to eat a banana, or I got to,
get some fuel.
Like got to touch up my makeup, or, you know,
could you feel depleted? I mean, was it?
It was definitely
45 minutes. I feel like you would slowly be on the downslope.
It was really weird too. So like we all Wednesday night, like I didn't get to bed till like 1 because we were getting a bunch of shit together and we had to be up like at 5. So I didn't get any sleep. And like I said, for a lot of what I do, I'm very like I'm not like super fucking anal about stuff, but I'm pretty regimented with certain things. And like, I drink coffee, but I'm not a daily coffee drinker. If I'm going to the gym or like, if I need something before I play or something like that, like I wanted to do something. So, but for whatever reason, I didn't have like any coffee.
Yeah.
I didn't have any caffeine like yesterday morning. It was like right before the third set finally, I was like, oh my God, like I haven't like even had any caffeine. Like, and with Gravzig, it's different. Like I'll have a couple drinks and stuff here and there. Like I'll sip on some whiskey that helps you. It helps your throat. Like
no,
to
it
a
doesn't.
different. No, it doesn't.
No, not at all. Totally fucks your throat.
For me, it does. I mean, when I'm just don't know what the fuck I'm doing, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
It helps me. All right, man. It helps me. Like, I forget that I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I think so. I don't need to worry about it. But no, but yeah, I didn't really by the third set, I was like, didn't really drink at all. Had a couple sips off of an energy drink here and there, and it's like, holy shit, like I should be like fucking crashing at this point.
Yeah,
I'm sure the adrenaline, and then if you get a good crowd response too, that just
every set, like it was cool because there was a lot of people that, playing at fucking 12:15 on the first day of Rockfest.
Yeah.
There's only going to be so many people that are going to come through, but like it was like a slow succession where like there was a lot of people that saw like,
oh, you got to go check these guys
They saw
out.
more than one set.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's awesome.
Like it was.
Hell yeah! They could
it was really cool.
Yeah, that's badass.
We sold a lot more merch than we should have. I know that.
Yeah, that's got to be great.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
feeling.
like I said, playing that 12 to 4 range, like everyone's coming like at 3-4 o'clock on a Thursday.
Yeah,
I mean, you could tell by the time we got done, it's like, yeah, there's a lot more people, but I mean, it went super, super well.
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that something Reaping would do or has capability of doing? Would they ever invite you guys to do that there?
I mean, Rockfest is kind of weird. It did actually come up a couple of years ago. I mean, it wouldn't be playing 3 sets. I would never.
No,
would never.
That'd be crazy.
I draw the line.
Like
I draw the line somewhere. Yeah, no.
Jesus.
Yeah, that would be fucking. Fuck that. Fuck that. But I mean, that's like, we were really hesitant, or not hesitant. We were like, okay, we have to do this for Gravzig when we got the offer, but we're like, fucking 3 sets, like.
That was right on. That was on the fucking docket right away.
Yeah,
when
the contract and everything.
Holy shit,
yeah,
man, 3 sets.
Because it's just not what that kind of band is about.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the energy. That's what people like about those kinds of bands. So it's like I have to meter. We have to meter what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that seems fucking stupid. Like.
So you just didn't go balls out right away. I mean, you had a good time the first 2 sets.
We did. We kind of moderated like what we were doing. After we got done, I was really happy that I wasn't worse off than I was. It was such a go rush thing, like getting ready and like, when we were able to get into the grounds and everything. So we only had like 2 hours to set up.
Holy shit.
And like a band that like you have to do all this makeup and everything. It was really, really rushed. I didn't get to stretch. It's a good thing that I'm as athletic and as agile as I am, because at the end of the first set, I did something to the back of my right leg, and I was actually really worried.
Really?
Yes.
Hamstring wise?
I popped a couple blood vessels like behind my knee, and I must have strained something like a tendon or like a muscle, like something, because it sucked. So like, and I don't even like, I'm the kind of person, I'm lucky I don't get headaches and all this kind of shit like regularly, so I'm not like popping like pain pills or like anything like that. But as soon as we got done, I went and popped, like 3-4 ibuprofen.
Right.
I had my massage gun with like, and I was able to figure out how I could maneuver and work through it, and it was fine.
Damn.
Because I was like, it was kind of fucked up, because I was like legitimately like, oh my God.
This could be bad.
I got hurt finally on stage,
right,
and I'm going to have to like, now I have to do nothing. Like now I have to do 2 more sets and like literally not be able to run around or do what I like want to or would be expected to do. So yes, I'm very happy.
Man,
it was sore today, but it, just proactive about shit.
Yeah.
It's swelling. Got to get the swelling down. Got to do something. And
and if if like you said, if you're athletic and you're constantly, pushing yourself, and your body heals faster. You know what I mean?
I'd definitely be worried about just accidentally doing something in one of the other sets, and just it makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah,
it step weird. Or
something,
and it's just
that was I had done. To kind of be mindful of that, when we started the second set, but then I could kind of tell it's okay, well, I can do this, but I can't do that, and I can, just see how things go. Because
you think you did it jumping or landing? Or?
No, I actually didn't. I think because I have shin pads and stuff, and all the duct tape and bullshit that I have.
Oh, gotcha.
And I know what happened was when I bent down in a certain way.
Oh.
I wasn't stretched out good enough, and it was just that one movement where I think some of my muscles were restricted with the duct tape and shit that I had on my leg, and it was just when you do something wrong, it's that wasn't good.
Oh yeah,
because it was the second to last song of that first set.
Main stage, First Avenue, sub-level set, jumped up, fucking pulled something in my back, and then I straddled the monitor right in front. And halfway through the set, stood up and was like, "Oh, this is not good. Something's bad. Something's real bad." And then it was 2 weeks I couldn't get out of bed after that.
Yeah,
just wrecked, spasms real bad.
It sucks horrible. When you do something that oh fuck. Because I've done it's when you do anything drumming with your hips, or you pull something. You could maybe play through it, but it's that. Oh fuck. If I don't ease through this, I'm sure you've had something like that happen live at some point with your hands or your legs.
My hands, particularly before I had my carpal tunnel surgery, they would just lock up, and I couldn't.
Yeah, it's the worst.
And I'm like, okay, I got to get through this.
You got to loosen up and do the strong hand.
I would just have to basically just grip as hard as I could, because I'm my hands locked up and I can't. I wouldn't be able to feel these 3 fingers. And I'm I just got to hold on to this stick and hope I can
hope you can play through it and it'll lighten up.
I was getting shin splints for a while.
Yep.
And I had changed my whole how I play. Switching to direct drive definitely helped that.
Dude, so we played at the Amsterdam last week. Gravzig did, and the only time I get shin splints is if I'm my shoes are breaking down, if I I'm running or some bullshit a lot or whatever, and I definitely could tell my shoes that I wear on stage were breaking down. I got shin splints pretty bad. I haven't had them in a long ass time, and then we had reaping practice, and that was the first time I've had that happen, where it's this actually fucking kills playing. I mean, and you should, because that's the thing, is if you're playing fast double bass, you shouldn't be using those muscles to begin with, but when it's there, it's very prevalent.
When I first joined Krog, I hadn't been playing regularly in almost 2 years, because I had moved, tore my kit down, it was in storage.
Right.
In the first couple jams, I was getting shin splints again, and I would I tried to force myself through it, and then we try and do a second set, and I would have to stop. And I literally can't.
Have you had shin splints before?
Oh, horrible in football. Yeah,
it fucking sucks.
Real bad.
I can't play. It's just.
Yeah, last week was the first time where it was I made it through practice and everything. I know, it's when you have that, it's it'll go away if you do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's for me, it's it comes up if I'm doing more cardio, or if my shoes are fucking done for, the
so is it your feet just getting flat, or is it the arch support not right, or is
I think
just something I noticed that with my shoes, tennis shoes, just being a big guy, you know what I mean? I go through tennis shoes like nobody's business. They just break down so fast because I'm such a big dude, you know what I mean? It's just heavy, you know. My boots, on the other hand, were I wore my work boots to Slam Dakota last weekend, and I refused to bring tennis shoes with me because I'm on my feet on cement all day long, all week long. And I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to,
yeah, it's very tough.
Put up my camper, walk around on cement all day long with just tennis shoes. I'm like, screw it. I'm going to wear my work boots. And my feet did not hurt at all weekend, which was strange,
I mean, good work boots are going to like that. There's a definite thing with that.
Yeah.
I noticed I about a year ago switched to Hoka's. And that just helped my feet and my shins and stuff. I had planters really bad.
Oh, okay.
And that's definitely helped. And then what I found out, too, with my shin splints, playing my throne was probably like 10 years old. And it's one of those hydraulic ones. Mm-hmm. Well, it was just getting worn out. And I bought a new one, and I'm like, oh.
That's what that's supposed to feel like.
This is what this is like.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not supposed to, like sink down, and there's like no give to it.
When we rehearse before when we do these Gravzig shows, Jay we rehearse for that group at my house, not at one of our studios, and he plays one of my kits. And he was saying something like a week and a half ago. He was like, man, your throne is pretty unforgiving, because like I'm still like the guy that like I don't have, because there's a lot of really cool thrones, like as far as like in an orthopedic sense and
sure
and everything. I'm still like the fucking round seat, like nothing. I don't like I don't have any fucking nice cushy bullshit.
Right.
I gotta have those nice soft and.
It's just, I'm just grimy. I just fucking stupid flat bullshit. Like, I don't like any kind of movement. Like with that's what I said. Like playing faster music, it's a little different. Mm-hmm. Like you don't want to be bouncing. You don't want for me, I want to be like on a firm surface.
That's what I noticed switching to the new thrones. Like my old throne, just because it was given out after so many years, like I would.
The hydraulic is getting
like a lot more bounce to it.
Yeah,
my new one, I stay pretty much put, but still like it's not like painful. It's still like the seat's like this fucking thick.
Yeah, but I don't luckily for me, it's like I don't with a lot of people I know, I don't have. Luckily, I don't have like debilitating back or like I have things like everyone, like my hips. Everyone's hips are fucked. But, so if you're going to be a drummer for, decades, like it's going to happen. Right. But I don't have anything that's like stopping me continuously from playing. I mean, I had serious leg injuries. I had a really bad sciatic injury. And I think we talked about it a long ass time ago. Shit that
those are fucking the worst too, man.
Yeah. Because you had back problems recently too. And it's like anything related to your back and sciatic stuff, it's like, for me, it was like the worst pain I've ever had in my life. Because I like, it's like there's certain points like when I got a concussion. I was just talking about this today. It's like when I got a really bad concussion when I played hockey. I remember when that happened.
Oh yeah.
And I remember, when I was on the road and I was having problems with my injury, my leg injury that I had, and like I couldn't get out of the van. I was like playing every night, and I literally couldn't even get out of the van at points where like when that pain comes, like with sciatic shit, it could come and it can go.
Yep.
I've I hurt my back. It's probably been like 5 years now. I fucked it up at work, and I was out for about a month, and every now and then, just randomly, sciatic pain just from my lower back down.
Sciatic
my whole
shit,
leg.
like you can if you're smart, you can tell when it's coming on. Your hips and your legs, because I mean it's nerves, and it's like for me, my left leg is numb right now. It's felt like that for like 11 years now, on and off. It's just like varying degrees.
Right.
It's just like you can feel, you can feel something all the way down to your toes.
Oh yeah.
Like your legs. Like for me, and a lot of people, it's like I can tell the nerve endings are compromised in a certain way.
That's a scary situation too as you get older, man. I'm 51 now, and just had my second grandkid, and you know what I mean. Like I hurt my back pretty fucking bad last year, and dude, I could barely walk. I could barely stand straight up. I could barely walk. It was the worst thing ever. And then being 300 plus pounds, you know what I mean, and not being able to kayak, not being able to get the exercise that I need to at least maintain, not fucking balloon out. You know what I'm saying? It was horrible. It was the worst thing ever. And just, I'd never, it was like when I broke my jaw. I would just never would would wish that on anybody unless I really hated you. You know what I'm saying?
I really fucking hated you. Then I might.
It's the worst thing ever, man. You know, like I just sold my motorcycle, the motorcycle that I wanted my whole life. You know, like a nice big bike, you know, big ape hangers, fucking great bags, you know what I mean? It was like, and then I made it, you know, a Vicla, which is like, you know, like a Cholo bike, you know what I'm saying? So I really put a lot into it to make it the way I wanted it, and then I had to sell it, you know, and it was horrible. Like I sold it to good people, and I know that it's going to be taken care of, but I was really bummed out. And a buddy of mine just joined a club not that long ago, and he's like, you know, it really sucked to see you have to sell it. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, you don't have to do, you know, I want to ride for everybody else because it's great to ride with your buddies. But when it comes down to being able to walk and being able to function and being able to work, you know, without being in pain, like I'm in pain every single day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, you know, it was here and I could barely fucking move. Now it's like here and I'm able to grin and bear it every day. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough, and you know, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And that I had that sciatic stuff for I want to say 2 years, really bad. And I have a friend who's a hell of a massage therapist, and just grinding on my hips, dude, and got the muscles
Everyone's
to go
hips
back.
Are fucked. Like
Dude,
like all your back problems are related to your hips and your legs.
I had no idea how bad my hips were until they did all the x-rays they did after they found out that I had herniated disc. And they're like, okay, we want to make sure that there isn't anything going on with your hips, because, you know, it's like you get it in inflammation in one spot and it either goes up or down.
Yeah.
It's not
it
both.
Works. That's most of your back shit's going to come from the ground up.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people
So,
don't
I mean, like
understand.
when they ask me like, hey, are you having any pains down your leg? And I'm like, no, it's like pretty like
can't feel them ever
from the bottom of my ass cheeks is as far as it would go, you know, but then it would be, you know, above where I hurt myself, and it would just, you know, the muscles on my side, dude, I've never felt my side muscles hurt as bad as when I
inflamed.
Oh,
and
dude, because
pissed.
you know, here's the thing: is I'm overcompensating for my left side, so then it's putting all the strain on these muscles that were taken care of over here. I'm right-handed, so it was like
it's just a big chain.
Oh,
when you
dude,
have like back stuff or anything like that, it's a big chain of events that start happening, because then it's like. Yeah, it's like it starts from your legs, and then your back's fucked up, and now your shoulders fucked up.
I couldn't imagine being a touring musician and having that situation, because I know with the sciatic stuff, like you said, it comes and goes in such weird time frames. Like I could walk 2 miles and not have any problem, but then I'd sit down, and then all of a sudden I'd stand up and it'd just be shooting pain down my leg.
Like when my shit was really bad, before I could like really get a handle on good stretches and like controlling it. I was very lucky, because sitting and playing drums, it didn't bother me, which was, you know, very lucky. It'd be pretty much anything else. Very, like, because for me, it's like being able to like bend my leg and my body. That's what like alleviated some of the pressure for me. So like, strangely enough, I mean, there was points where and it's like you said, it's like, was there a lot of discomfort? Yeah. But it wasn't it wasn't like debilitating pain.
Right.
It was like curbing it a lot of times when I was playing.
Yeah.
There's definitely bad nights here and there, and I still have that, but you just
I can imagine, dude.
You just kind of work through it.
So let's take a listen to that climactic tune. We take a little break, and we can use can or whatever we got to do. We'll take a listen to this tune. Now, this is released in 2023, right? It was last year, and it is called Watchtower, right?
Correct.
Let me make sure I got this queued up before we go anywhere. Now, you guys have been working on this for quite some time, you were saying. And
the bane of my musical existence.
Yeah.
Like literally. Because, I mean, I tracked the drums for that record like 9-10 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
It sucks. It sucks. It's a body of music that like is very, very amazing for those guys.
With some talented musicians, man. All cats that you've jammed with before in different projects, right?
Yeah.
So let's take a listen to that. We've got the Watchtower. You can listen to that on iTunes, and the original CD's on there as well.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's take a listen. We'll be back. checking it out, doing the climactic Watchtower. The Watchtower. This is it's a single that they released in 2023, and they've been working on this album for a while. I wanted to say thank you to Eric Keyes for joining us, Paul Wallace-Esch. Thank you, sir. And let me see here. That's Jordan. The Stratosphere. What does that say? I'm sorry. Stratosphere Media TV. Thank you for joining us as well. He said it could be any of them. So thank you for joining us. I appreciate everybody who's checking out the show and joining us and all that other good stuff. So we went to something kind of unfortunate happened in the last month or so with a good musician and friend, longtime friend, Brian Owens, passing away, and his funeral was this past Monday. Mm-hmm. Something just, such a trip, man, you know what I mean? Because, the guy was having a little bit of health problems and then, lost a bunch of weight and, took care of himself. And, then things started to take a turn for the worse. And, you never, like you said, Dan, you don't know when your time is, you know what I mean? It's kind of one of those situations where Brian was a hell of a guy, and his funeral was beautiful. It was a good time. It wasn't a good time, but it was beautiful. Lots of in a cool spot too.
Good send off for him.
Yeah. And they're doing a big show this September 14th at the White Rock.
Yep.
So if you get a chance to come down and spread some love to the family and help them with, I know all the proceeds go to the family for the show. And
yeah, and there's going to be some memorial merch, some shirts, stickers,
badass
patches,
stickers,
buttons.
Yeah,
all in remembrance of Brian. And then there's a silent auction, and everything's going to Stacy and the kids.
Yeah. It's such a rough deal, man. You know what I mean? Knowing a cat for 30 something years, and having him pass. And I mean, like I was saying at the memorial too, like I wanted to jam with Brian for so many years, and I think a few years ago, I mean, like when Krog was kind of on hiatus for a little while, like he didn't have a lot going on, and he's like, let's do it, let's fucking do it. It just never came to be, you know what I mean? It just kind of sucks when you realize that can never happen, it's kind of tough, but I know that you're a huge, proponent of working out and taking care of yourself, and you and Eric, you guys have been pretty regimented on taking care of yourselves. I know you've been doing it a long time, dude. You take care of yourself pretty damn good.
It's kind of weird to think about that. Well, yeah, when you like stuff, I'm sure for yourself, it's all of us. It's like, I've been doing this for this long.
Yeah. Well, I seen you post something not that long ago about having mental strength and doing that type of stuff and staying on a specific regimen and taking care of yourself and how much it helps you mentally as well. You know what I mean?
I mean, if you don't have enough respect for yourself to have some kind of accountability.
What are you saying? Like you're in a room with two big guys. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, but it's different for everyone. And everyone figures it out. Like, everyone figures it out for themselves at different points, or they don't. And I'm lucky. I know my quirks and my weird attributes, and I know that I'm lucky that fitness became a point of my existence, that it just became part of my day-to-day.
Right.
And I was always athletic and everything when I was younger, but it really did come more into a play as I got more serious with wanting to play drums.
Right.
I mean, that's where it all started.
Stamina's got to be something, man. I know it can't be easy.
So that is where a big part of it came into play. But as far as being into like bodybuilding and all the attributes around it, there's just a certain element with that kind of sport and that kind of mentality that it's very, very unrelenting. Like you have to be like on top of your shit if you're a bodybuilder and all that. Right. Like, because those guys are doing shit day in and day out that is just ridiculous.
Right.
So I think I just like that. I've grown over the years to accept I work best when I'm uncomfortable. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I don't think that being comfortable, like you're not pushing yourself out of if you're not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone pretty regularly, you're not doing all the great things that you could be doing.
I agree. With
and
that.
And that's not like, it's not to like, the one thing that I enjoy helping people. I enjoy seeing people like get past their bullshit, because my shit's not, I'm not special.
Mm-hmm.
What I do, like, when people, it's flattering, like when people talk to me about my music or, sticking with a fitness routine or
mm-hmm.
any, being able to have a good conversation. It's like, my shit's not any different than anyone else. It's
right.
like, everyone figures it out at different times.
Sure.
And luckily I've just had something inside of me with all that that's just kind of stuck.
Right.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I do.
I mean, that speaks volumes about you too. I mean, if you're, you know what I mean? If you're playing heavy sets or you're doing multiple bands or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like working 40 plus hours a week and then still going to the gym and doing all that stuff. Like,
it's tough. If anyone's doing shit like that, like playing music or, like doing anything like really, really aggressively, like it's not easy.
What's kept you driven for all these years, bro?
I don't know. Fucking psycho, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I have but anyone that, if you're going to stick to some kind of like artistic endeavor, I mean, you got to accept you're probably something's, I'm fucked up too.
Yeah. Just
because like I can do the things that I do and get up and keep doing them, it doesn't mean that that's the one thing that like is very interesting to me, because like I still find it very wild that people look up to these like athletes or artists and bodybuilders, and they think that they don't have
bad shit going on.
The shit that you and me had, every day you're gonna have some kind of fucking struggle,
right?
And every
mentally, physically, all of that.
Like every point of your week or your month, like you're gonna hit walls and things are gonna happen, and that's life. Like you're not supposed to be happy. You're not supposed to be at the top all the time.
Right.
Like that's it's all those stupid cliches. Like you can't be. You have to be in the trenches a certain degree to appreciate when. You get to that.
So when you get to that point, when you get to a point where you're like, fuck, man, you start getting bummed out about something or anything like that. How do you push through it? How does Dan push through
it? The last few years, or a handful of years, I guess I would definitely say that it's more, I've tried to believe in what I'm doing. I think that everyone needs to do that. Like I've kind of you have your bad days, or I can't pull off what I was doing behind a drum kit this week, or I can't do this, or I feel like I'm not as on top of what I need to do.
Sure.
You trust in your ability. And I think that it's partly routine, and it's like that confidence thing. I think if you have goals, it doesn't have to be like these completely unattainable things, but it really is like you have to have things you're working towards.
I think a lot of people, including myself, I think, I've never been the person to sit down and like lay my goals out. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people aren't.
But I think that the intimidation behind that is also that people say goals or dreams or like aspirations or things like that. It slowly goes from this thing that you think is super attainable, and then it becomes like this larger thing to where you're like, yeah, this
could be kind of polarizing.
Yeah.
And I think that's, because I've like everyone, like it's been a weird 4 or 5 years for everyone now at this point. And nobody dodged a couple bullets, at least a couple bullets from the last 3-4 years.
Right.
And I had my own personal struggles with stuff and like shifts and what you know, what do I want? What do I not want? What makes me happy? And, you know, if you want to get really down to like the simplest things, like as far as what I care about music, you know, I got to a point where I wanted to just appreciate or more. I wanted to get back to being able to appreciate, to walk down to my home studio or go down to like, you know, our rehearsal studio or whatever and have as much fulfillment I could from just playing drums myself, for myself and for nobody else. And I think that like, you know, going back to baseline.
Right.
Because I like for music, kind of going back to like what we were kind of talking about in the starting, it's like, you know, starting bands and doing the things that you do when you were younger. There's such a big amount of innocence.
Yeah.
You have no, I mean, everyone, I don't care how smart you are and how ahead of the curve you are. It's like, we've all lived very, very, very amazing things and like crazy shit.
Sure.
You're pretty much a dumb fuck until you're like 30 something.
Yeah.
And you still remain pretty stupid about a lot of shit, but you don't really get a grasp on that, like what you were doing when you were like 22.
Yeah.
Or 20. You take a lot for granted.
For sure. Absolutely.
And especially in music, because you hear that a lot from artists that you might admire, like as they get older and the bands break up and things change. And it's like, because like, it's very, very strange when you want to be so driven with art and metal, being able to be in a metal band, because it's all about having fun and just playing fucking death metal or whatever and just shredding. And then it's like, well, at some point it's about business.
Right. I think that, you know, it'll scar some people. You know what I mean?
It absolutely does.
You realize that it has to be a job. It has to be, you know, if you really, really want it, you have to have that drive to not be fucked up. Not, you know, you got to put your time into your craft. I think that's something that I really realized as I got older too. You know what I mean? Like if I wanted to do what I wanted to do back then, today I would have to really focus on my craft more than what I did at the time. You know what I mean? You take all that opportunity for granted. You know what I mean? Like I'm glad that I didn't get signed when I had a chance to, or when I had opportunities to, because I think that the drugs played such a factor in what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I feel like I would have been a statistic on the road or statistic in any way. Just, you know, that shit all comes free. All that shit comes free. You know what I mean? I've even told my kids, like, you don't need all of that shit. Just focus on what you're doing and everything else will come. You know what I mean? Like talking to the guys in Visceral Reaction too. You know what I mean? Young kids that are super talented, way more talented than I was when I was their age, but you see that drive in them, that hunger in them, and it's just like, man, don't get involved in any of the bullshit. Don't feed your own ego with all the shit that
it's weird when you can, like,
you guys fucking rule, you know, like everybody, you know what I mean? First it starts out with like your friends and everybody's telling, you know, they're biased because they know you from homeroom and all, you know, they might not understand what you're doing up there, but they're like, yeah, that's my dude from homeroom. He's the shit, you know? And then you move to, you know, bigger venues, and then you get more people fucking blowing smoke up your ass, and then you just slowly start to, if you're not smart about it. You know? Yeah,
music does weird. Music, and even, you know, you want to say fame or notoriety, it does.
Notoriety.
It does weird things.
Yeah.
I've seen it do weird shit to friends of mine.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can, like, there's just such a difference in being, like, confident. Like, you need to be confident, like, in your abilities and, like, what you're doing, because if it's a hard line to toe, because like that can be misconstrued so easily, like, you know, as arrogance and cockiness, because the confidence is like starkly different than arrogance and, you know, cockiness and just like, but you have to. And I think that's when you're really hungry and you're doing all those things, it's like, because like you can look back and it's like friendly competition is a good thing, but then it's like,
I think it's a great thing. And
you need it, but then it's like, there's some people that it's like you have this disregard and this, like, you know, it's a hard line. You go through a lot of shit when you want to be like real serious with like music and all the things related to it, because it can do weird shit to people, even when you're not making a lot, even when you're not making money.
Yeah. I mean, I've always admired the fact that you took it and went on the road and tried to go out and tried to be more than just a band that played here a bunch of times in a year. And I've always admired that you guys are very, very selective in what you did here in town. And when you did do big shows in town, you selected who you wanted to play with in town. You know what I mean? You made the bill that much cooler. The Caboose shows that you guys were doing, you know what I mean? You'd handpick the bands that you were doing well at, in the area. You'd make sure the show was fucking banging. You know what I mean? The good time.
You gotta, it's weird. I think we have like this swing again in the last like year in this, like the metal scenes and stuff. And it's like, how many times have you seen that? It's like, it comes and goes, and it's like you see what a lot of the bands are doing. It's like, all right, now you got to stop doing some of the shit you're doing. Like, stop playing every 3 weeks, stop playing the same shows. Cause it's like, you're hurting yourself.
Now you fuckers, whoever are watching this show, and if you've watching this particular episode, what he just said speaks volumes, because we've said it a million times. We've told so many bands, like, you've got to be really careful what you do, and putting out your calendar of, you're basically giving everybody a chance to say, I'm not going to that show. Maybe I'll go to the next one. No, I'm not going to that one. If
you give people an option to make an excuse, they will.
Yep.
They 100% will.
Count me interested.
They're not going to go out of their way to catch you on this night when they know in 2 weeks they can. It's more convenient.
Yeah, if you're starting out, that's one thing. Like cover bands and tribute bands, it's different. There's different elements to a degree, but not in metal. Yeah. I mean, not in any like original music. Like, you can't give people an option to make an excuse.
let me ask you this, Dan, because you've seen the beginning to the headlining slot now. There's been such a transition, such a weird transition, that the middle slots, you know what I mean? If there's 4 bands, that second and third slot are the prime time slots.
Prime time.
And nobody wants to be that, closing band anymore, and there's hardly any bands these days. I mean, there's a few, but hardly any bands that are holding people at the club till 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the fucking morning. Everybody wants to get back home or around their area before it gets too late. The cops are out.
Well, especially now after, like, in the last 3-4 years now. I mean, but that's the thing, is then at that point, you got to be more mindful of that. This is your time frame. This is what you're working with. These are the logistics involved. Like, like playing, I mean, that shit was stupid 20 years ago. Playing at 12:30.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a set at 12:15, 12:30. Like, don't care how good you are. Like, half the crowd is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's
no fun for everybody.
Why all these like national bills that come through, like, the show's done by 11 at the latest.
Yeah.
Like, there's like, because I know folks don't want to stay out.
Right.
I don't want to stay out that late.
Right.
Like, I want to go like home, relax. But it's like, and you see all these bills too. It's like 12 bands. Like that's
that became like a really big thing again. Like the last couple of years, and it's just like, dude,
I never understood it.
I mean, we did like we had like 6 bands on a show at one point. It was just, fuck, this is stupid.
Well, logistics too.
It's too much. And
Dan, do you like using other people's kits?
Fuck no.
That's what I'm saying. When you got 12 bands,
no drummer's gonna say I love using other. Yeah, but I mean, if you're a professional musician, you're gonna have to do backline shit and different. That's different.
Yeah.
There's I see all these huge like local bills and like, oh, we'll just backline a kit. It's like cabs are one thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
because you kind of can achieve that tone.
Yeah, you can, especially if you're doing like super high gain. Like, there's not a lot of nuances with it,
right?
Especially in like a live setting, it's got a lot to do with the room and everything. Asking a drummer, I think, to use like a backline kit or like someone else's kit is the same as asking a guitar player to.
Play an odd
everyone will just use the same guitar,
right?
It's like you're
just asking if like you're gonna have problems. Like, it's just
I never whenever I put a show together,
metal, it's just metal drumming is completely different.
Well, and
there's
you
too
guys
many
get
things that are so derivative on your technique, your pedals, your trigger settings.
Right.
How's your kick drum? Like, is it stuff? Like, if you're using triggers, like,
dude,
it
you
just
guys
doesn't
are
work that way.
You guys are
everyone
so particular about every little thing. If you know your shit's over here and you go to hit it and it's fucking down here,
That's
a
huge thing. Like I can play my kit with my eyes closed and know where everything is.
Right.
I've played on a few like backline kits, and I'm like, there's not enough cymbal arms, or there's
muscle memory.
Yeah,
it's like the way your body moves and how your brain works at that point. It's not the same,
and it could probably cause a lot more fatigue too if you're fucking stressing to go.
Well, yeah, if you're uncomfortable right off the bat, you can't talk yourself off that ledge a little bit. It's just you're starting off.
Yeah, you get the nerves right off the bat too.
Everyone's been there. Everyone in a band has been there.
Guitar players used to play, their Jackson or their BC Rich, and then, everyone's going to use this Gibson.
Right.
Like, that's going to throw you off completely.
Yeah.
I think that's the same with using someone else's kit.
Yeah.
It would just throw me off, and it sucks.
I kind of want to turn back now because I asked the question and then we kind of brushed.
Yeah, we've been doing that a lot, but that's how these things go.
Let me ask you with the opening a show, where would you give if you were in a new band right now? How many shows would you give yourself? How years, months? How much time would you give yourself to open shows to where you felt okay? I'm going to move up to the second slot, move up to the third slot. How long would you just give me an estimate of what you would give time frame wise?
I mean, I don't know, man, because that's like derivative on
crowd response.
That's the inner workings of the band. Mm-hmm. What are your parameters? Like, are you a serious hobby band?
Right.
Are you a serious band? Are you a complete hobby band? Like, do you have a 3-month? And like a lot of these things, when I say that, like plans and like 3-6 month, year long, like, perspective plan, it's like, I'm not like sitting here writing every little thing down.
Sure.
Like to a T, but I mean, those are just things like knowing, like same thing, like got to be confident. If you're playing a handful of shows and you're confident in what you're doing and your abilities, when people are asking you to play, then at that point, it's like,
you feel like
bands
you can
that aren't, like if you feel that you don't need to be opening shows anymore, then you say that, and your worth. I mean, that's no different than like any of us that have been in bands for X amount of time. It's like somebody wants to book your band, and you're like, this is what we need. We can work around things, but this is what we need to work around. And if they can't do it, I just, for like, if you're not hurting my feelings, like bands and people, you need to be realistic, but if you're at a certain point and you feel a certain way, then you need to stick to your guns on that. It's like, if somebody doesn't want to pay what I think one of my projects is worth to get us out there, which is still, as far as I'm concerned, is fucking beans, like what we're getting paid, then that's okay. Then you're not hurting my feelings. Yeah. It's like, if you don't feel that we're worth that, then that's fine. Like, I've got thicker skin than that. That doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, but you do. You have to. I think it just really comes down to being like confident and like, okay, we played.
Now here's my thing though. If I'm a new band and I'm trying to get my bearings and kind of getting into the club scene and I'm starting to book shows. Now is it crowd response? If I was to look at the whole scheme of things, right? So yeah, my band has great practices. We're a solid unit. Okay, we get on stage, we open the show, have a pretty good crowd response. Our first show, second show gets a little bit bigger. People are saying, yeah, we want to see, people are obviously calling to have you come and open shows. I mean, is there any specific time frame, or is there just so many variables in that whole thing?
Yeah, I don't really, I think it's just tough because I mean, like even the show that we're doing on August 3rd, at Amsterdam, like Defiled Sacrament, they're opening it. They're a great band, but it's
that's the show he's talking about. I just popped that one up for people.
Yeah,
to see
and
that.
they there's plenty of shows that they're playing way later in a bill, or like maybe they're headlining and stuff. It's tough.
I'll say
everybody wants, like, especially like, there's a lot of big tours. It's like, well, why don't these bands do this and everything? It's like, well, it gets tricky because nobody wants to open, and if it's a bunch of huge bands, it's like,
yeah, no one wants to.
It's tough. So you
now I'm not shitting on that particular band that we were just saying, okay? But in my opinion, I think that they should still be in a lower slot, and that's just my opinion. And I've seen them play out. They're a great band.
Well, they're
a great band, and I'm not taking anything away.
Yeah.
But for me, I would think that they would want to stay back a little bit. And this is me. This
for
is
a
me.
lot of bands like that. I mean, because they're still relatively new. I mean, it takes a long time to like say you're an established band,
Mm-hmm.
and even at that point, it's tough because, like you said a little while ago, there's tons of talented bands in like the Midwest and like the Twin Cities, but we're not 20 years ago where it's like you're gonna have a room packed of 800 people,
True.
in the local scenes and stuff. That's just not the way that it is.
Yeah. I just, I think that a lot of people get ahead of themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm not singling those bands out, out in general. I'm just saying the reason I asked that question is because I feel like bands get 4 steps ahead of where they need to be, and they should focus on like, okay, we're going to rule this spot. You know what I mean? We're going to fucking make sure our fans come early. And if they want to stay for the show, that's great. But if they want to come and see us and bail, and I've always thought that makes a big impact on the show itself. They paid to get into the show. They should stay and see and support the rest of the bands there. But if they decide not to, that makes a statement for the rest of the bands in the room. Maybe that their fans are assholes, but the fact of the matter is that when
They've
people
got loyal friends,
well, and that's the thing though. But the loyalty of that thing. Now, when you move up to that second slot, are they going to stay? They're going to show up early and stay for their band and then bail again. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it's really important to establish your foothold in the game. Like,
absolutely.
I know it's not 20 years ago. I know it's not like that. What I'm saying is that I think that people get ahead of themselves too much.
I would agree.
Like, hey man, we opened for this band. Well, you know what? You can open for any fucking band.
Doesn't mean shit.
Doesn't mean shit. And I've said this a million times on here. A lot of those slots are given without merit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I think that bands like Reaping should be opening for some of these big death metal bands that are coming because, okay, one, you're going to add to the bill, right? You're going to bring people to the bill. Oh, Reaping hasn't played here in fucking 6 months. They've been out on tour.
Yeah.
Reaping's going to add to that bill. Plus, when that heavy band comes into town and all of a sudden they see Reaping come in and smash the whole fucking place up, they're like, oh, okay, so we really got to play the show tonight. Not, we're not just here to, all right, we're so-and-so, you know what I mean? I've seen heavy bands come into town and have weak openers and come up there and fucking phone it in. Where to me, if you have bands with merit, I believe that it boosts the fucking the vibe of the whole show.
I guess that's where like there's openers and there's closers.
Sure.
And that's it's not, everyone doesn't. There's a reason that some people do more in music and some people don't. And
I think the reason why I asked the question is that we have to establish where it is and where that boundary is for everybody to kind of understand it. Because I feel like because a promoter asks you to sell a few tickets and get you on, and I'm not shitting on the promoter or anybody else that does this fucking this mode of, I'm just saying that when you get situations, you're opening for bands that the merit isn't there. Do you got your merch together? Do you got your recordings together? Do you have all of your shit that's buyable right there for people to buy every single time you play a show? Or do you show up at the show, get shit hammered drunk after your show, not stand around your merch bit, fuck you, man, it's your turn to sit there for 4 hours. You know what I mean? That type of shit where you're fighting amongst yourselves. It's just not a cohesive thing. All I'm saying is that I think that people get so ahead of themselves these days, and they piss and moan that they can't pull a crowd like they used to. You know what I mean? There's a handful of old bands that do this stuff, and they come into town, you know, they play a show, and the show's but then they assume that other people are feeding off of their vibe, their fucking, you know, their credit or whatever it is. And it's unfortunate, I think, that, you know, that people don't realize that either you're still headlining, you're still drawing, or you're backing up and you're just, you know, you're doing it to do it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a lot, everything that we just talked about, there's a lot of different elements in that. Yeah. And I think that, you know, it is knowing your place, and same thing, going back to that confidence, like it's a hard line to toe. Are you going to be a headliner, or do you take yourself seriously? Because I mean, that's still, for years and years and years, it seemed weird to me to say I'm a professional musician, but I am.
You have been for years, bro.
I'm, you know, like me and the people around me, I'm like we're the goofiest fucking idiots in the world. But when it comes to like my art and what I do with other people in music, I take it very seriously. And that's the thing, is like, it's tough because I don't think that I'm doing the same thing that I was doing before. And I've said this for a long time, where I'm still chasing and wanting to be better at my craft. So all along the way, I have to, like, you know, like the people I work with, luckily, like in reaping and stuff, it's like, how are we going to be able to present ourselves and make a statement? How are we going to be able to hopefully stand out with our music? What is our representation with everything? What are we trying to do? And that's just always been there. And
to piggyback on that, and to touch on, like, you know, what slot a band is, you know, like, no one wants to open. Sometimes that you just have to, you know, that's just the way that, you know, that's just, it is what it is. You know, I don't think bands should focus on, like, oh, you know, we have to open this or we have to close it or whatever. I've always had the mindset of just, this is your slot.
Own the situation.
Make it the most crushing set of the night.
Make it a statement.
Right.
Because people are going to remember that. They'll be like, holy shit, these guys were tight. It was a fucking energetic, hell of a set. The people that were there were engaged. Right. That's going to speak a lot more volumes than
and those
headlining or
that goes back to the friendly competition thing being good.
Yeah.
Own your spot, and if you can be confident and know what you're doing is a good thing, then it'll speak for itself.
Sure.
I think that I just am, and that's just me. I believe in that. Whether it's a delusion that I like to hold on to, but I do think that if you mean what you do, and you stick to your guns with shit, then it's going to stand for
it. You're not fucking faking it. That's all there is to it. Like, people can truly see that. Like, I've said this a million times. I've classified guitar players, bass players, because you can see them. They're out front, okay? Even vocalists, like, right? So a guy who's looking for the fucking the leg up on the thing and the, you know, really rocking it, like, fakey looking rocking it, other than like getting into it and singing to, you know, I've said it to guitar players, like, dude, you don't need to go completely apeshit, but if you looked in the crowd and sang what that singer's saying at the exact time to cue off what he's doing, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be phony. It people can truly see what
it's
it is.
A show.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And everyone, and that's same thing. Art and music is very, very personal.
Sure.
So everyone is going to feel and think something differently from it. Me personally, I am a very visual person.
Yeah.
I like theatrics.
Yeah.
I like a show.
Right.
I want to I want to feel like that, like energy. Like, I want to see a band going nuts.
I've never looked at you play, though. I've never looked at you play and say, oh, he's just doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I always look at it like this. Either the instrument plays you to where you're so focused on, or you're playing the instrument, you know, fucking, you know what I mean? Like, hitting hard, fucking mugging it up. You know what I mean? That's nothing fake about that. I'm just saying that, like, you know, there's some folks that just don't get it, man. They're not in it as
everyone.
Focus
and
on
their image and how they look rather than
it's
actually
tough.
like
it's tough
being
when you
proficient at what they're doing.
Sure.
When you care about those things. It's like a lot of bands. It's like you either care too much about how you look or how you're performing, and you've lost all the points of your music and all the other shit, or vice versa. You're
guilty.
A huge technical band that stands there, and there's plenty of bands that, like, you know, because I obviously love technical death metal and technical metal. There's a setting and a place for that, and some people enjoy that, just hearing everything perfect and to a T and sounds like they're listening to a CD, and they could care less, you know, and that's fine. But that's not me. That's never been me.
Right.
Like, I'm more, I guess, like I said, I'm more rock and roll.
Sure.
Than that. I want to see a show. I want to see some grit.
If you're going to a show, I want to see a show. I don't want
exactly.
I mean, there's, you know, some like super technical bands that, like,
they have to.
They probably can't go like all out.
And that's, like I said, that's a line that you toe if you want to play technical music, where it's.
But, sorry, I got really super intense on that whole thing, because it's such a tough thing for me to grasp sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, people get really frustrated about how they look, how they you know, how they're I guess, you know, how they're portrayed, right? So they're like, you know, their value is more than what they really are worth. I'll put it that way, okay? Yeah. So some of us are really fucking delusional. I've been that delusional guy many times. I probably still am very, very delusional about certain things, but just seeing it sometimes on social media, you know, like, people accuse other people of using people for their rep or whatever it is, you know what I mean? And it's like, man, get over your fucking stuff. You know, it isn't about that, man. You know, music is supposed to be fun. Like, I think that's what really kind of turned me off about music, you know, as I got older, is like, it became a fucking job. Like, my last band, there was like, everybody in the band had already been like the mother hen of their prospective bands at one time, you know? I never had to, like, you know, baby bird somebody, like, okay, this is how it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never had to bitch it, you know, but, but bitching at somebody going, you know, hey, you got to be here on time. You got to do this, you got to do that. It's like, everybody knew where they needed to be. And that's such a reassuring thing. But you know, I've seen you, Dan, where you've been in situations where things aren't like where you needed them to be, and you've like snapped a whip, like, hey, dudes, we got to be on it right now. And I've just, you know, heard it in passing, but I'm like, that's the way the shit should be handled, man. You don't have to be a fucking prick.
Professionalism.
Yeah, man.
Like,
and it's.
Well, and that's just another element. Like, for bands, it's like every band needs somebody steering the ship.
Sure, for sure.
And that's fucking hard, because even, you know, it's like, nobody should just outright want to be the manager or the leader of the band, because that's kind of fucking stupid.
Right.
And but everybody in a band has to have someone that's steering this ship, and you have to have that understanding as a collective that it's not somebody bossing everyone. You know, it can't be, unless it's a solo artist and then you have session guys and you're being paid, that's different. But if you have a band, you can't take it as like you're getting bossed around or you're being told what to do. It's that the people you're working with have to understand that somebody has to be a manager, just like any job.
Right.
If you're working with a team of people, you got to have the confidence between each other, who's doing what they need to do, and that this is what we all think we want to do. Right. Okay, this is what you guys need to work on, and I'm going to do this, and working towards that collective goal.
Right.
Like I said, a lot of this stuff, when we sit and talk about it, it is kind of like, it seems so silly. You know, it's like we're talking about a death metal band and a metal band, but that's the industry, and that's the reality of it. If you want to like be serious and you want to, whatever you deem success, you know, like if you're gonna have success in what you do with it, you have to have that.
Yeah,
it's like, you know, for like shows, everything's it has a schedule. Like, it has to go on time.
Right.
Otherwise, bands got to cut their sets, or
people get pissed.
And
they go on the internet.
When you got guys that are coming in and just like like, hey, loading's this time, and they roll up 1-2 hours afterwards. It's one thing if it's like beyond your control.
Right.
Like, hey, our guitar player had something that he couldn't get out of.
Right.
We have all his gear.
Right.
He just won't be able to physically show up.
Right.
That's, you're making arrangements to have his shit there so you can backline and everything. But when you got guys that are just, don't waste anyone's time.
Mm-hmm.
No one likes having their time wasted. So,
well, and like Dan said, as you get older too, you start to realize,
your set starts at this time, and guess
time
what?
to cut some songs, boys.
Like if you take too much time, setting your stuff up, or you're just half-assing it up there, and you're taking a minute between each song or whatever, your set's gonna get cut.
Yeah.
I mean, but that comes. I was lucky enough to kind of like eke my way into like the getting into music and everything, like in the scenes that like you were already in the middle of, and way more in there was way more situations where if you weren't doing shit properly at a show, you're gonna get your ass handed to you,
right?
And everybody needs that. Like God, I was just like these are things that like still come up, like James at the Quest when I first got to play some of those Quest shows. And fucking 18, 19 years old, and I'm there, and James lit me up one of the first couple times, like, because I was being fucking stupid.
Right.
I love that dude, and you like years and years went by, and I was always super cool with him. But it's like that's the shit that needed to happen.
Right.
And more motherfuckers need to have that shit happen, because you either need to get scared into that, like where you figure it out, like, oh shit, this is how it works when you get involved. You don't do dumb things like, like you said, when it comes to like scheduling and how you operate as, a musician in a band, and you need to have some kind of guidance with that.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And
it is like old man speak. It's like these kids need to get slapped around a little more, like in our day. But I mean, it really is, because I think that there was like and for me, it's like I kind of ended up veering off, obviously, into a way more different. Like I was out of the bar kind of scene. I went into the hardcore and the metalcore scenes and deathcore scenes and stuff, which is starkly different than,
I'm sure,
the new metal stuff and like all the other bands that we were doing back then. But yeah, it is very interesting, where I think that would service a lot of people early on.
I think so.
To get a little bit more stern talking to.
Yeah.
and maybe it doesn't even have to be like over the top aggressive and yelled at, but that's a little bit of stern guidance.
There's a fine line. There you can use it as a teaching moment.
Right.
Like, hey,
constructive.
This is how it works. Don't go flying off and like screaming at someone, because like that's not how you convey a message.
Yeah.
It's like, here's, tell them like, everyone else is doing this way. This is the way it's done. You're causing like a huge, speed bump in the whole process,
and not making any fucking friends in the process of
like,
that too.
Just if it's a band or someone who's still green, like you just explain to them.
Yeah.
This is, but make it known that like you can't deviate from this. Like, you can't, like, you gotta, this is how it has to be. Don't discourage them by screaming at them, or like when they're not going to want to do it at all.
Right.
A little bit of fear, not
little bit of fear.
Don't terrorize them completely.
Don't scare the shit out of them, and then don't make a stink about it days later on social media.
Right. Right.
It's like, it happened. It's not the first time. It's not the last time. Don't take it personally.
Here's a kind of touch back with the competitive, being competitive, like friendly competitive. Like, it's good to, I always like watched the band who played before me, you know what I mean? And thought to myself, I got to bring it. I got to bring it real heavy because these guys are really kicking ass right now. And that was my competitive side of it. If
That's a good thing.
If I ever said anything bad about anybody, or if I didn't like a specific
because I really meant it.
No. I always told my guys, like, nothing gets said outside the fucking studio. If you don't like something, you don't have to voice your opinion right there. You don't have to make enemies to say you don't like something. But it is so these days, it seems like that competitiveness gets taken so personal now to where it's like, oh, fuck them guys. I don't, and it becomes more counterproductive than productive. I felt like there that competitiveness and the drive between the bands back in the day. And again, I'm talking years ago, but it just seems to me nowadays that like people just take things so fucking personal about it. And it's like, especially guys that have been doing it for so long, it's like, dude, that half of these fucking people have never done half the shit you've ever done, right? And you're taking shit so serious and so personal. Why can't you set them aside and make an example? Talk to them and say, hey, listen, man, like, I don't know how you think this works, but this is how this fucking shit should work. You know what I'm saying?
For me, I'm just a really, really brutally, like, not brutally honest, but I'm a very upfront person.
Right.
If I'm fucking up, if I'm doing something, I would rather be told that. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that, like, more people can't just have a discussion.
Right.
Because that's all just general bullshit. Like, do you want your friendships? Do you want your relationships? Do you want your bands to work? Like, if you can't communicate and discuss things, like, in a semi-productive manner, like when it comes up, well, it's like you're totally gonna be at a loss.
There's like, one thing that really, really bothers me is when people use their status as a bullying tool. You know what I'm saying? To where they're like, I've been here for so long, I've been doing this for so long, and this scene rides on my shoulders, or this, you know what I mean? Like, I can make it difficult for you. And I'm not going to say that I've never been that guy to be a fucking dick like that, but I've had friends in my orbit that are like, dude, you're a fucking dickhead. You know that? You really did gatekeep these people. You really did. And you know what I mean? Like, you take in your friends, words and like really analyze them and go, okay, well, maybe we talked about the ego. We talked about the little bit of notoriety or the fame or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it does funny things to people. And some people can take it in stride. And I mean, I've said it to his fiance a few times, because we all work together. And I've said, every musician that I know has an ego of some sort. You know what I mean? And you kind of have to.
You should.
To if you're going to be any good at it, you've got, like you said, you got to be confident. You got to be, confident in your abilities, and like you got to own the shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, but being egotistical and being a fucking prick to people.
You still got to be a decent human being, like you. And that's, like I said, it's a hard line to toe when you. Like I said, if you want to consider yourself a leader, or if you want to trust in what you're doing and your abilities like are stand out, and you do feel like you are doing something like special, it's difficult, like to not be misconstrued as just like a bossing, big-headed dick bag, like I don't. It's tough, and music is just, there's so many elements of it that are just very, very bizarre.
Yeah.
Like
toxic almost. You know what I mean? Like some of it can be very toxic. I mean, and it's in every form of art. You know what I mean?
You need, fuck, man. You got to figure, it's another thing that like a lot of people need to understand. If you want to be an artist, you got to have thick skin.
Yeah.
Because people are going to, they're gonna shit all over. If you do anything, if you think you're doing anything that means anything to anybody else, someone's gonna shit on you, and they rightfully should. Like, because that means you're doing something right if people are noticing what you're doing. And that goes back to like, you got to have some kind of confidence, and like, but yeah, a lot of people, if you want to be an artist and you want to put yourself out there like that, because you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
But you got to I think a lot more people, and if you want to get involved in music, they need to be told, like, you're going to have to thicken your skin up.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get told more. You're going to get told no more than yes. and you're probably going to get like more people closing doors on you more than they're going to be opening them. And if you're going to be like really caught up on all that kind of stuff, or like, you know, like people like don't think you're good enough for that slot on that show, and like you're gonna have to have thicker skin than that. And you're gonna have to like own your spot. Now
with that kind of touching on that specific subject, I know you've done some drum through play through type of videos before. Now, have you had any negative comments on any of the things that you've done?
Absolutely.
And how do you?
I've had that pretty much my whole existence as a drummer, because I've always traditionally been a very tense drummer. But you know, I took a lot of that over the years, and I tried not to let it discourage me. And it's a lot of years. Like in the last couple, I would say for sure in the last 3 years, my technique and the way I play is more times than not starkly different than how I used to play. And like when Kyle came out, Skullquist, when it's been really cool to see like my friends, like when he came and saw us last year on that Cryptopsy tour, he hadn't seen me play for like 7 years.
Yeah.
And it was really rewarding, me knowing how much I've specifically put in my craft and working on all my bad habits. He like, after we played our set, he's just like,
dude,
this was like not, it was like watching, because, you know, keep in mind, this is somebody that has literally seen me play since my beginning.
Right.
He was like, dude, this was like not the same drummer.
Yeah.
He's like, it was, you know, just like, you know, it was very fulfilling to see like it's always, you're more concerned about what your close friends and your peers think other than the people. Like, you know, it's like, you know, you're always going to play your worst shows in front of like your best friends that would never, you know, probably criticize you or anything like that, but you're always going to, so for me, like points like that in the last couple of years have been like some of the most rewarding, when people like, you know, when they'll notice your hard work.
Sure.
Like, so yeah, that's, like definitely people always criticize the way I played.
Now, what about when you're touring with a, you know, a band like Cryptopsy? Now, if you see that drummer standing on the side of the stage, just going, you know, checking you out, or has there been situations like that where you're like, oh shit, I really gotta, you know, I'm throwing down every single night if I see that dude anywhere around.
Oh yeah, dude. On that Cryptopsy tour, we were playing in Denver, and it's a super cool moment. We were in the middle of the set, and I'm usually like really out of like, some points I'll be like connected with the audience, maybe if I'm close enough to them, but then other points I'm just kind of doing whatever. I'm in my own world.
Yep.
And halfway through the set, I was just kind of like, it was like we started our third song actually. I looked over to stage right, and I like kind of did like a triple take, like, and I literally like said it like out loud. I was like, what the fuck? And it was Gene Hoglan was like 15 steps away from me, just staring at me. And I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, cause he was like, I could tell like
as fuck.
He was just watching me.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. Well, he stayed the whole set. So he could have been, I think he watched our whole set, but like nobody else caught it. Cause like Jacob, and the thing is they know the Cryptopsy guys really well, but he had an off night, on Death Clock was with like Baby Metal.
Okay.
It was that tour.
Okay.
So they were there, they were playing there the next day. But so yeah, he sat there side stage, watched the whole, like another 4 or 5 songs, the whole rest of our set. And I was like, I told the rest of the guys, and like, what? I was like, dude, he was sitting literally like, cause he was this close to Alex.
So nice, dude. Like, he's such a nice guy too. God.
He came up to me before I could go. And he's everyone I know that knows him said that. He's like, he's a very humble, amazing guy. And he came up to me before I could go like say hi.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was wild. Like Gene Hoglan came up to me before I could go like say hi to him at a show, and wanted to praise me for like, he was just like,
were you shining that night?
Like I said, dude, like it's crazy when you can have those kinds of moments that someone like that you hold in such high regard wants to tell me that what I just did was fucking wild.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, dude, that was some crazy ass drumming. And it's just like, thank you. Gene Hoglan, thank you. Like, you know, it's just like,
thank you, guy who played in Death.
I really try to like document like, you know, the things I get to do on the road and all my travels. I'm just like, I need to get a fucking picture, because I was like taking my gear down real quick and shit. And it was like, he ended up leaving before like not too long after that. Like he didn't even stay for Cryptopsy or anything. Like he left like 2 or 3 songs into the next band.
Damn, dude.
So
that's
I was
awesome.
like, yeah, but it was wild. It's
I can imagine. I would freak out.
I mean, those are the kinds of things that, like, if you're any sensible person, you know, those are the things that bring me right back to my, you know, my practice sessions.
Yeah.
You know, those are the points that's like, okay, well, I must be doing something right in some regard. So I need to just kind of like have a little bit more confidence in what I'm doing.
Who's that crazy cat that we've watched a couple times? Is he like Brazilian or Esposito? Fucking whatever. I can't remember.
Estapario.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That dude is
he's
ridiculous.
Just nutty. Just,
to see that guy like praise the dude who's playing for Slipknot, that Eloy guy, like to see him praise that guy before he got the gig, and like it was like that transition between what is Soulfly and then Sepultura and Slipknot, and him praise that cat, and I'm just going, man, that would be one of those moments where you're like, okay, one of the best drummers in this game is standing next. I would shit myself. I would have been just like, ugh.
I mean, and that's just like sports or anything else. There's so many musicians and so many bands that are amazing. Like there is no best guitar player. There is no best drummer.
Right. But he's been playing for so long, you know what I mean? Like that dude's an iconic drummer he's, you know, Dark Angel, Death, Devin Townsend. I mean,
Fear Factory.
Yeah, I mean, just that's an amazing fucking
Testament. You know, everything that.
Yeah, he's filled in.
Like
he filled in for Unearth, I think, at one point. Like he's played with tons and tons of bands, man. Tons of bands.
Such a sweetheart of a dude, too, man.
Wild moment in my life that I can still have those kinds of things happen.
Hell yeah. So I know we did talk about the August 3rd show at the Amsterdam Bar in St. Paul. That's you guys. You guys are headlining that show? Yep. Okay. And then we've got Begravement on that one, A Mirror of Being, Cobra Czar, and Defiled Sacrament. Is there another one on there?
Nope, that's it. Capped it at 5. That is 4 or 5 bands. That's enough.
But again, you know, each one of those bands, I mean, Defiled Sacrament, and I want to take, the things I was saying before, I don't want to say that I'm shitting on those guys. I really like that band. They're doing really well. For an up-and-coming band, they really caught my ear, seeing them live as young kids, like really hungry. You know what I mean? A good, solid young band. Cobra Czar, I mean, those guys are all, you know, veterans of the scene. And seasoned cats, and they're solid. That drummer is fucking amazing.
Tim is super good dude.
Such a cool guy.
Yeah, he's super talented. He's got the sauce. He's got the chops.
Mirror Being is another one of those. Again, we were just talking about this. You guys pick and choose when you guys want to play in town, and you get fucking bangers. You know, every single one of these bands is solid.
Have always liked about the shows that you guys put on here is that it's such a diverse lineup. Like it's always a little bit of something. Like it's not.
We try,
You know, I mean, it's cool to see, you know, like a whole bill of like tech death if that's like really what you're into, or you know, just straight up like brutal, you know, Cannibal Corpse style. You know, you have like 5 bands that are just like that.
Right.
But seeing something that's a little more diverse, I've always loved shows like that.
Yeah.
Because it'll, you know. Maybe, you know, like, hey, I don't listen to, you know, thrash that much, but I might see a band on this bill that like, oh, these guys are actually pretty fucking good that I otherwise maybe would not have checked out.
Right.
I think it gets tough with death metal and technical death metal.
Sure.
It can be overbearing.
Yeah.
I mean, do I love Origin to death? Do I want to see 5 bands that sound like Origin? You know, 45. I mean, but sometimes maybe. But like, a lot of people are, that's just gonna be too much.
Right.
Like I mean, like I said, like I'm such a big technical death metal fan, but like for a lot of people that are into heavier metal and like maybe not really, that's gonna be just way over their head, and it's going to be like sensory overload. Like that's a lot to handle from like 4 or 5 bands that are just going to be like blistering.
Yeah, for sure. Now I have a couple different shows in it. You can add anything in the middle if you need to. I also have August 30th. You guys are doing the Western Illinois Midwest Metal Fest.
Yeah, so we have a handful of regional stuff coming up. So yeah, we're playing that. We're playing another fest in East Moline the next night.
Okay.
On the 31st of August. And then we have 5 dates, us and Macabre.
I do have that one as well.
Yeah.
That's in September, right? That's the early September run.
So it's September, what is it? The 4th through the 8th.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's Madison, Wisconsin on the 4th of September, the 5th in Bradford Park. Let me see here. We got September 6th in Des Moines, Iowa, September 7th in Lincoln, Nebraska, and the 8th in Fargo.
Yep.
And that's all with Macabre.
Yep.
And then just locals through all of those dates. Is it just throwing on different ones, or is it just you and Macabre?
Yep, just us two, and then like support.
Okay.
Like from there's a bunch of different support because like that Des Moines date there's quite a few bands on that. That's like a yearly thing that a buddy of ours, Justin, does. It's called Gurnfest.
Mm-hmm. I did not see a flyer for that on your guys' Facebook. I only saw the one for the Western Illinois Midwest. I only seen the 30th.
That was announced like months ago. Like that was because that's kind of how us and Macabre both were gonna do that Des Moines show, and then it was like, okay, well we're both in the middle of stuff, but we should do at least like a run of dates. So like that's what that run of dates was built around that because we originally were gonna do more, but they're like in the middle of writing and recording still right now. We were in the middle of like kind of game planning and recording as well. So we just have like a bunch of regional stuff. And then we play like September 20th. We play in Duluth
with Hurricane Joe at the Caddy Shack.
Yes, sir.
That is, let me see here, September 20th, 7 p.m., 6 p.m. door, 7 p.m., $10 at the door, 21 plus. Hurricane Joe, Graveslave, The Motion Mosaic, and what does it say? Southpaw?
Southpaw, yeah.
Hurricane Joe. Now they just getting back together or something? What was?
They're just playing one show. Yeah, they were a band that was around Duluth for a long time, but yeah, they're just playing that one show. So that's it.
That's pretty awesome.
Should be sick. Yeah. So originally we didn't know if we were going to be home or not at that time, but it worked out. We are.
Awesome.
And we're doing that. We got. We got another pretty sick show that hasn't been announced yet at the end of September too that we're doing. That's going to be out like in Western Wisconsin. But we got a lot of stuff that we have in the holster and that we're like kind of game planning on. So.
And you guys are recording, or you guys have a lot of stuff material-wise?
So we have some new music coming out very, very soon. We have a new music video. So we do have stuff that's done.
I got to see it. Dude, I'm just going to say, without giving anything away, it looks and sounds.
Did you get to see it?
Dude, I got to see a snippet of it, and that was it. He goes, hey, man, all of a sudden everybody just bombarded us, and I was like, dude, you got to let me see that. And I got to see
I'll show you guys
just like a snip of it, dude. And it's like visually awesome. It looks really cool.
It's weird because like that was like we wanted to really take things back to like a simpler element and make it more about the band and like the energy, like kind of like we were talking about.
Dude,
it's like
as you should.
So yeah, like how we kind of based like trying to like, I mean, visually it looks a lot crazier than just that because we embellished on a lot of things and we worked with like Adam, the main guy that we worked with on it too. Like he understood what me and the guys really wanted to go for. Right. So, but yeah, like, so everyone will be hearing more about all of that because it's like we have all these,
irons in the fire,
new
man.
music and new material and new members and all these new things. So yeah,
I know Eric is an absolute beast on stage, and it is great to see him back up and running with multiple things, and keeping him busy, and he's just such a workhorse up there, man. Just to watch him go fucking ape shit on both sides. And I just caught some live stuff from your website of him throwing down with you guys while he went out.
Oh
with you
yeah,
guys for a
I
little
think
while,
he's
so.
definitely I've seen him perform so many times in my life, and it's just that goes back to like the chemistry. Like if you have that vibe, you have like a bunch of guys that like all are actually really on the same level, and it's like it makes you work that much harder. Well, because that's how I like when Jacob came back and started touring with us. It was just like, I mean, Alex is a wild man on stage, and it was like
Jacob stays with him though.
It was like the first shows that we did again together. It was just like, Jesus Christ, it's like he's kind of giving Alex a run for his money, and then Alex was like, dude, I gotta get on my shit a little more,
right.
And it's like, well, I gotta get on my shit more. Right. So, but that's what it's about. Like if you have, and that was why that like. Not getting too off a topic, but that was like why part of the reason we didn't have another bass player for a while. And that was part of the reason we never found another guitar player, because it was like, there's plenty of musicians that are way better than us, but it's like, finding the chemistry and all the different elements of like having more members that, in a band that are going to work. But it's like, we want people that are going to like, I want someone that's going to be way better than me. Like,
right.
Like watching Jacob fucking do what he does. Like he's just a phenomenal musician.
Yeah.
And it makes us want to work that much harder. And that's what it should be about.
Any visitations from the werewolf?
No. The 100-year-old werewolf.
Yeah, dude.
Thankfully, no. We haven't been back to Peoria. Maybe, it's probably we stayed clear of Peoria for a long time. Yeah, exactly. You remember that.
Hell yeah, dude. That was the best story ever. I was like, well, what do you mean? And you're like, when you guys were talking about it, like he just started going crazy on your trailer
he like hit our trailer a bunch of times, and then he literally left like claw marks like there were like these lines across our trailer. It's like, and I mean, dude, we were like, all of us. It was like towards the end of the after we played and everything, so we were already all partying and lit up. So it's a very interesting.
I just remember you guys
you
going
never
like,
forget those things.
Oh man, I think it was Jacob that was saying that too. He's like, oh man, take it easy.
Yeah,
like
it's just like we're just kind of like what? He was talking him through it.
That's so great. That's still one of the best things ever, dude.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of ask about gear. So I know that gear's probably changed a whole bunch since you've been doing it. Like what have you acquired gear wise in the last, handful of years? What are things that are always mainstay when it comes to gear for you? What are some of your sponsors when it comes to gear? And how'd you get to that crossroad, I guess?
I don't know, man. You're asking a drummer. I mean, it's like, it's all like, I have way too much shit. It's like every musician. Like
but I'm sure there's a handful of stuff.
I don't own 3 snare drums. I have a lot of drum sets. I have a lot of gear. I have a lot of snares. Mainstays. I mean, the companies that I'm lucky enough to be still working with, they're companies I've been with for now quite a while. Like Los Cabos. I've been playing their stuff for probably like 7 years now. Amazing company. They're based out of Canada. Their sticks are very, very, very durable. I can't say enough good about everything that I've
experienced
had
with it.
Yeah, like so yeah, I've been playing Los Cabos for a long time, sticks wise. Trick, I've been with Trick for probably about 7-8 years now too. Mapex, my shells are all Mapex, and the most recent one was I made a big jump on the cymbals I use in the company that I work with. So I play a company called Sentient Cymbals, and I've been playing them for probably about 2.5 years now. And
durability
amazing.
Durability there as well.
Yes, it's a company that more and more people are hearing about now because they've only had like worldwide distribution for like 5 years now, but they've been around for decades, long time. And I can wholeheartedly say they're like one part of my instrument where like when people like hear parts of my cymbal spread, there's like what the hell company is this? Right. Like, yeah, like it's amazing. Like I can't, like I have a lot of friends that have gotten turned on to their stuff, and yeah, I have.
Are there any things that you regret getting rid of, or is there anything gear wise that you're like, fuck, I wish I still had that?
No, because I still have pretty much all of it. The only like, yeah, dude, it's something like, you know, where me and Alex were just talking about it because he's moving, so he's just like, dude, I gotta get rid of so much shit. So other than like I've sold like a lot of like Sabian cymbals and stuff because I played Sabian like completely for a long time, like a decade or whatever, more than that. And other than like odds and ends, I haven't like parted with any of my drum sets or my snares. I've been recently thinking like, man, I gotta fucking some of this stuff, it's like, where do you draw the line? Like, right. And there's people that have way more stuff than I do, but I mean, I have like 5 like full drum kits. Damn.
Single
you know,
kick,
and
double
I have
kick?
like 12 or 13 snares. You know, and like, keep in mind, especially like my reaping stuff. So it's like you know, like that red Saturn that I've been playing for a couple of years. I have a deep water Saturn also that they gave me that is the same configuration plus one more floor tom. So I mean that's like 3.5 drum sets right there.
Damn.
Like, but yeah, like I haven't sold like my first drum set because I didn't get like my first drum set wasn't like a super beginner drum set because I didn't start playing drums, you know, until like almost 18 years old.
Yeah.
But so yeah, should I downsize? Probably. I could sell some stuff. I'm a snare whore. I like snares.
That's amazing, man.
Do I need to buy more snares? No.
Probably.
I'm gonna keep buying them. Yeah.
I've had to talk myself out of buying more. I think I got like 4 or 5 right now. But I'm like, I only use them one at a time.
Yeah, that's like one thing with like Jacob, like, cause he's like, it's like, don't. Anytime any of us are ever like talking like, dude, like, because Alex, like, so the new reaping material, this is like the first stuff that we did implementing a 9-string. Mm-hmm. So like this handful, this EP that we recorded is all written on a 9-string. And 2 weeks ago, he brought his 1 9-string into I can't remember what shop he brought it into, but to get, you know, set up and had some stuff done on the frets and stuff. And someone's like, oh, yeah, we actually got one of these guitars here. Because, like, 9-strings, like, you don't, like, these Ibanez 9-strings, you don't see a lot of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's like, what? He's like, yeah, we pretty much got, like, the same guitar back here. And he's like,
let me see it.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things, like, nobody knew it was really there and it had been sitting there for a long time. It was like, oh, great. They're going to give him, like, they're going to give you a huge deal. And he's, like, asking me and Jacob. And I was, like, texting him, like, well, dude, there's one thing that you should know. It's like Jacob is never going to talk you out of, like, when I've done that with a couple snares, like in the last 2 years, it's like, do it. There's not any element of him. Like, if it's something sick, he's going to be like, do it. Like,
I get the same shit, but, you know, working for Rob, he's always just like, do it. And I'm like, I shouldn't even be bringing this up to you. I know what your answer is going to be.
Yeah, right. I'm liquidating these other 5 guitars that are, you know.
Yeah, the most guitars and the coolest guitars, like, probably out of anyone in the Twin Cities. Like,
we had one we were selling from the Shred Den. Someone made an offer on it on a Reverb, and I just was curious. I'm like, you know, how much do you have that one listed for? And he's like, well, I'll give it to you for this much. I'm like, not asking because I want it, man.
Yeah, stop it.
But
now maybe I do.
Will you go any lower?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't, and it's just, I think it's just part like that. That's part of my personality. I'm very sentimental.
Sure.
And that's the tough thing because I have been thinking about selling my Ellis kit. It's a sick ass kit, but it's like,
that's one of those rare things too these days. I mean, since they folded, like,
yeah, and it's an awesome
never
kit.
Gonna get another new one of those.
Yeah, and it's like Rob. I still actually talk, like, Rob built built that kit, and he's a great dude. And I actually talked to him about some other drum crap like a month, 3-4 weeks ago. But yeah, I think it's tough. Like at some point you should, let go of some of your stuff, because you see like I saw like Jason Newsted's like selling a bunch of his gear, and like I've seen other people doing that. It's like I have plenty. It's like I have plenty of other stuff. Like me selling a bunch of stuff is just I have plenty of other toys. So.
I think I have some stuff up for sale, but it's because I want to get some
other stuff.
You want to get
I'm like,
that's how
I want to sell this so I can.
I try to
get this.
I try to justify when I'm like, okay, and that's what I told Alex. I'm like, dude, damn it, I shouldn't buy this 9-string, but I was wanting to get a backup, but I shouldn't be considered. It's like, dude, sell a couple things, man. You have tons of gear. You have tons of guitars. You
should have heard this guy this week, right? Now I know when he says, "Oh shit, are you kidding me?" Right? He actually stands up, walks around his area, and he's like, and I go, "What?" And he goes, "Dude, this bass that I've been looking for forever." He's like, No, seriously, this is like one of my bucket list bass. He goes, "I found one." And then today we were talking about, he's like, "Well, I wanted to buy this one." And he goes, "Well, I've got this one with this finish on it. Now it's two bucket
I wanted
lists."
to get a Rex Brown signature Spectre.
Oh,
and I wanted to get a Spectre that had the
hollow. What is it?
Hollow flash.
Okay.
It's like a
Iridescent type of thing. Yeah.
Like I was talking to my fiance about it. I'm like, because I'm like pretty much all I play is Spectres. I'm like, there's a handful, like I'm looking at like other basses that I want, but like for Spectres only like 3 or 4 that like I want to like complete my collection. One of them was, hollow flash. One of them was a Rex 5, and then I found a Rex 5 and a hollow flash. And I'm just like,
double bucket.
So
list.
what did your lady tell you?
Well, I'm going to tell, wait, let me finish this because, she's basically like Jacob.
That's a good lady.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
Kaylin is the same way. Like there's been a couple snares this last year where it was like one's like from like the late 90s, early 2000s that I've been like looking for, and it'd be like, she's usually like, well, maybe you deserve it. It's like you shouldn't be telling me that. Like, I'm trying to be responsible.
But dude, and I was going to touch on this earlier, dude, when you were talking about, being very lucky to have the guys that you're jamming with and having the opportunities and the ability to go out and do the things. I have to say, and I don't know your lady all that well. I know she's a nice gal, but I have to say, when a musician has a female friend or in a relationship with someone who's very supportive of their dreams and what they want to do, like, you got to give them some shine too, because there's so many people out there that are like,
Kaylin's an amazing. Like I'm like, yeah, dude, I give her all the praise in the world, like, because we've been together like 11 years, and there was long before now where she gets it so much, like.
Well, she's a driven lady too. Though, right? Like she's got her shit going on.
She's come out with us when we've done like longer weekend stuff, and like if we're doing like she was with us at Rockfest with our other close friend Kale that was teching with us. Like she comes with like on the last reaping stuff when we did a 3-day run a month and a half ago. She came with and she was doing all like because like Eric handles like a lot of the light stuff, like as far as like the breaking down or like when we're striking things or anything like that, and she was doing all of that. Like she was, because she wants to help and be doing that stuff. Like she's helped me with a lot of my drum stuff. What like, I won't need it, but she's like, I want to learn and I want to help. Like if you got a partner that can be in that element and like
not get jealous of the situation.
She supports me, and she knows that like when I'm at a show, it's time to work.
Yep.
And she's there. She wants to help if she's with us or, like I'm lucky that my guys want somebody like that, right? Because they know that if she comes with or she's at a show, she's going to be like either helping with the merch or she helps with like the on and off a stage shit if we need her. Like she knows
Well, respectful of the situation too,
yeah.
because I mean, you know, we talk about, you know, having thick skin as a musician or as an artist of sorts, you know, having a lady who's confident in being in the relationship with someone. Okay, like when you get off stage, you're gonna have female people that come up to you. You're gonna have, you know, females that are interested in what the band offers.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And if you're you know, confident in what you have and what your relationship that you built, and I mean, helping out with the whole experience, like making it easier for guys in the band and not being a pain in the ass or not being, you know, very like, I need your time, you know, like I'm jealous of the, you know what I mean? Like that situation right there, when you have something like that.
Glad I haven't had to deal with that for a long ass time.
A, man.
Fuck that. Like
So
with any of the
difficult.
bands. Yeah, no, she's the exact opposite.
Right.
I mean, like, she's the kind of person that would be like coaxing and wanting like
Right.
females, like because it's just part of it.
Sure.
You know, like
Yeah.
that's like when she was with us for the Gravzig thing, you know, at Rockfest. It's like, you know, maybe like I was gonna like do a bunch of blood for one of the sets and like, you know, change things up. It's just like, well, why don't you play with your shirt off the whole set? Like you haven't done that yet. And it's like, well, I don't know. And she's like, well, that's someone's gonna want to see that. So you should probably, it's just like, okay,
But
like
she's not wrong. That's the thing.
But
Is
yeah,
like
like,
you work so hard on.
she doesn't like. She's not. Yeah, I
That's
mean, but
awesome.
that you got to have a strong
Shit, yeah.
woman. You know, you got to have a strong partner in that element because that's just part of the game. Like you know, the attention thing. Like if you're, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be jealous of your partner being in a band, you know, because,
ain't gonna last long.
It's not gonna, I've had exes like that, and I luckily struck gold because Marion and I met while I was on tour.
Right.
You know, and she was, you know,
With the band she absolutely loves too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
and
that's
it's like,
cooler.
So she knows the whole like this is it. You know. Like,
Well,
because
and
because
it's
a passion thing.
I mean, all things to be said, it's it's obviously very hard to date or be married to somebody that has something that is going to take away time continuously.
Yeah.
Like it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that understanding that,
Well, you
it's
gotta
not-
have your own shit going on too.
It's not about like, this is way more important than me.
Right.
You know, it's something like that, you know, like in my situation personally, like Caitlin would never want me to not be a musician, or unless that's what I decided. My existence and my personality is like revolving around my art and my music. And that's what attracted her to me.
Right.
And that's why she loves me. Like
Right.
the elements of like, I'm so driven on like the things that matter to me.
Yep.
Like she wouldn't want it any other way.
Right.
So,
But I don't. I've never gotten that vibe from you as like. There's so many guys that are involved in music that use that to their advantage, right? So they know that they can manipulate a situation when it comes to females and things like that. They can use their. You've never seemed to be one of those guys to me that's like, I'm in it for the chicks. I'm going to, you know. I guess metal, but
it's kind of like how I was saying earlier. Like I started in the scenes that you guys were like thriving in, and that like more the bar type atmosphere, and it was just it was a different element.
Yeah.
And I gravitated towards a different style of music, and those scenes weren't. I was getting more into shit that it wasn't about getting fucked up, and it clearly wasn't about like, oh, chicks, dude, chicks. The
metal in general.
I mean, the females will be there at some. Like,
Sure.
they'll always be there, but yeah, that just wasn't. I never had that element.
Yeah.
I just wanted to like play some double bass, like you know, that wasn't getting chicks.
Right.
Like, you know, that's just I played music and played drums at a very early spot for nothing more than just like, I want to do some crazy shit.
Right.
That ain't gonna get the chicks. Yeah. That's gonna scare the ladies away. Yeah. Like, yeah, for real.
That's fucking hilarious. I love it.
Band do some clean singing, please?
Yeah.
Yes,
Can't
they
understand.
I did it
can.
really wrong if that's why I wanted it. Like, I really fucked something up if that's why I was doing music.
All right, man. I know it's getting a little later now, and I want to make sure that we touch on some of these shows again. August 3rd is the next one coming up, right?
Correct.
Do you have any Gravzig stuff coming up soon?
Not until Halloween. So
Okay.
November 1st, we're only going to be doing one Halloween show, and it's going to be at the 331 because it's going to be a free show.
Nice.
'Cause we did a couple of those a long time ago, and they get packed. They get wild. So yeah,
sure.
like, and it goes back to the same thing. It's like literally when we do this stuff, it's like, well, if you want to see us, we're literally not going to play for sure like months. Like, it's only going to be a couple times throughout the year.
And that's the way it should be, man.
Yeah.
I mean, to pull them good. And like I said, with the reaping stuff, you guys put on fantastic bills. You know what I mean? Like, people want to show up for that. And that's
yeah, it
August
seems like
3rd.
a lot of people are stoked on that August 3rd show. I mean, I think it's sick. And like, we got just, yeah, like, stay tuned in the next couple of weeks. We got a lot of stuff that like the band's gonna actually be like sharing with everyone else. And,
Awesome.
like all the different things.
And then I've got the August 30th at the Western Illinois Midwest Metal Fest. That's a lot to say right there.
Yeah.
With what is it? Neck Rung.
Nick Rung.
And then there's a couple.
Hardship. And
Yeah.
there's a handful of other bands.
And that's in Illinois, Moline, Illinois. And then you said the 31st. You have one right after that too, right?
Yes, and then that's in Decorah, Iowa.
Okay.
That's the one that Hardship and a handful of other bands are on. Yeah, because both those shows, there's like 7 to 9 bands or something like that.
I didn't actually find that one, folks. So you'll have to look on their website or on their Facebook to see that. And then September 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th, they'll be out on the road. Madison on the 4th. The 5th is Bedford Park, Illinois. Des Moines on the 6th, Lincoln, Nebraska on the 7th. 8th is in Fargo, North Dakota with Macabre. Make sure you go check out those shows if you get a chance or in the area. And then the one in Duluth, let me see here, with Hurricane Joe, Grave Slave, and Motion Mosaic at the Caddy Shack in Duluth. So yeah, those are the shows that are coming up. And we've got one more tune to kind of roll out on. And is there anything else that you wanted to go through or shout out or anything like that?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, we like I said, the next couple of weeks we're going to be continually sharing more with everyone about what's going on, and there's new music,
killer video coming.
Yeah, there's new music right around the corner.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm really, really excited for people to.
Fantastic.
I do feel much of what we talked about. It's good to feel like, goddamn, like I'm pretty proud of like this music that we're writing.
Badass.
And I'm proud of everything that like Reaping has done, but there's the music coming up has a different energy. And it's I think that like it's making a very big statement for where we are and what we're doing right now. And I feel very good about that. And it's more based off of just like the vibe. You know, like the four of us are like, we're in the spot where we need to be, and
together
the live show speaks for itself. I would like to think like the energy's there, and like we're just having fun.
Badass.
Yeah.
Folks, get out and check out some Reaping. August 3rd at the Amsterdam. That's going to be a fantastic show. We're going to lead out with a little False Awakening, and that's which one's that off of? Darkened Infinity?
It is.
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Dan, for coming in, man.
Thank you for having me.
So much.
Yes.
Don't forget, folks, check out Lowbrow Saints Tattoo Collective and go over to the Shred Den and buy some pointy guitars, right?
Yep.
So Jordan doesn't buy them.
No, he'll buy them anyways. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got to fucking cue this up like a dummy. I didn't have that together. So we'll just talk some more.
One job.
How dare you with the one job? I hate you. I'm going to quit both jobs. Here we go. All right, here we go. False Awakening. Peace out.
Ritual